Make sure we're on Wi-Fi. Make sure our streams are doing what they're supposed to do. And we're going to fire up the last one. We're going to be on um, TikTok, of course, Instagram today, not Clapper. We're going to be on Instagram today. Instagram and, of course, YouTube, the way we always are. So give me about a minute to get the last stream up, and we should be going momentarily. I don't think anybody's filtered in here yet anyway, so it should be pretty easy to get nobody to wait for about a minute. By then, people will be in here. So we're going to be talking about the potential of the way Trump, the way our president is viewing world leaders now, holding certain world leaders accountable, changing his stance on others. Just that it seems as though Trump is changing his tune, and we're going to talk about that. And this is in regards to, remember, Trump got elected, and the goal was to end all of these wars going on. And it does appear as if he's still concerned about the wars that are taking place and making some effort. I'll put emphasis on some, making some effort to end the wars that are going on around the world. But obviously, none of the primary wars that were discussed when Trump got elected have ended. I mean, he's bragged about ending Serbian, I mean, India and Pakistan's another one. But the main issues that were taking place during the campaign, those wars have not ended. So we're going to talk about the potential of Trump changing his stance and whether it's for the good or whether it's for the better. So we're going to talk about that. So let me get this last stream up, and we should be going momentarily as many of you folks begin filtering in here. So we'll give the live stream a chance to come up. We're going to be on, as I stated before, we're going to be on Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. So starting the program in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. We're going to be discussing, for you folks that are now filtering in on the other streams, going to be discussing what's going on the world stage. And the reason I say we're talking about what's going on the world stage is because it does appear as if President Trump is slowly but surely changing his stance on his opinion of some world leaders. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is it too late, or is it better late than never? We're going to talk about it from a whole host of angles. We want to discuss that. So we're going to talk about President Trump changing his tune on different leaders around the world. Also, there is a, now I'm not totally versed on this, so I do want to hear from you folks. As I always say, I'm not a know-it-all, so I learn a lot from you folks, and hopefully if I can teach you or educate you folks on some subjects, that's how we do it here. Nobody knows more than anybody else. That's why I believe in free speech. Everybody gets to speak, and we do it from an uncensored format. There's an event that took place in Cincinnati, Ohio. You've likely been hearing Cincinnati, Ohio coming up in the news. It's racially charged apparently, but I'm not totally aware of all of the details on it. So I hear from you folks, hear your side of this. But apparently, the suspects are black, the victims are white, and many are suggesting that because of the racial dynamic featuring a white victim as opposed to a black victim, the media is deliberately not giving this any type of credence. They're not covering it. Now, I don't know enough about it, like I said, to go into detail. So I want to hear from some of you folks that may be a little bit more knowledgeable of this. I just got home from work and I've been hearing about it. I have heard about it a little bit on some of the news networks. I'm a big News Nation fan. So News Nation has been covering it. Obviously Fox News is talking about it. But is it something, whereas if the races were reversed, let's say the African Americans were the victims in this type of an event, would they be going apeshit over it, as opposed to now it's being the African Americans are the perpetrator and it's not being covered much. Now I'm going to say right off the bat, the idea that it's not being, because some folks are suggesting it's not being covered at all. Why isn't this news? It is news. It is being covered. I had somebody inbox me And one of my beloved MAGA viewers, nothing wrong with that, but he's saying, "See, this is what we're talking about. It's not being covered." I hadn't heard about it at all when he messaged me earlier today, and I'm thinking like, okay, if you got a black mob stomping out a white couple, I think that's what it features. Why hasn't this made news? That's a legitimate case to be made. So I went on Google and I just typed in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is a city and state that happened in. I didn't type in police, type in brawl, I didn't type in beating or anything. I simply typed in Cincinnati, Ohio. And this is what came up immediately. Several outlets, including Fox News, News Nation, CNN, all have covered this. So I went back to my MAGA respondent and told him, I was like, I don't know why you're saying this is not covered. I just Googled the town and it came up. Cincinnati is not a small city. So it's not like I'm Googling bumfuck Egypt somewhere. And yeah, a major story is going to make news out of a tiny town. No, Cincinnati's a big city. They got plenty of things going on. And all I Googled was Cincinnati, Ohio, and this came up. So I don't know if it's not being covered. I think it might be more of a case where maybe the outrage is not where you think it would be if it was a black victim or whatever the case may be. So we'll talk about that from any standpoint. You guys can let me know about that. But I want to start out, and the purpose of this live is judging world leaders. Now, obviously, I have some clips on this. I think I'm gonna play a couple clips you've likely heard. Um, you certainly heard this one.
Let's start from the beginning. Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
I wanted to get to the "you don't have the cards." That's going to probably be a historic line. You'll be hearing about that decades in the future. But the reason I'm playing this is simple. Now, obviously, this is old news. This back and forth between President Trump and Vladimir Zelensky of the Ukraine took place a few months ago, several weeks, if not a few months ago. But the reason I'm playing it is because here is President Trump today. This is President Trump today, literally several weeks after that clash.
I would have said 5 times we would have had a deal. I've spoken to President Putin a lot, and then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev and kills a lot of people in a nursing home or whatever. You have bodies lying all over the street. I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him. So we're going to have to look, and I'm going to reduce that 50 days that I gave him to a lesser number because I think I already know the answer what's going to happen. I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. We just don't see any progress being made.
Now, this is President Trump as of late. Remember, we started out, now Trump's only been in office for about 7 months. We started out with, Russia being an intelligent, smart leader and blaming the Ukrainians for starting the war outright. That's where we started out when Trump became president. We started out with blaming the Ukrainians and suggesting that Russia was only defending itself from a neighbor trying to join NATO. We've come full circle to the point where we're now arming the Ukrainians, and here you have President Trump today stating that the original 50-day threat, so to speak, he's going to impose 100% sanctions on Russia if they didn't comply and stop the war in 50 days. Now, you hear him here saying that we don't see any progress from them at all, so I'm going to drop the 50 days down to 10. Now, first of all, Russia has already moved this economy to a war economy, so they're not going to respond in 10 days either. I don't know why Trump thinks that sanctioning Russia is going to have any significant effect. It hasn't had any effect on Iran. It has not had any effect on Russia. or better yet, North Korea. These folks do not just bow down to sanctions. I think the issue Trump probably is not realizing here is everybody don't bow down to a sanctions coming from America. Some folks would rather let their people live in poverty than to appear on the world stage as if they bowed down to the United States. And I think Trump is starting to realize that with Vladimir Putin. The guy's not going to bow down. He's allegedly losing thousands of soldiers damn near daily. Trump is claiming that he loses 5,000 soldiers every week, and he's saying that number is an underestimate. So the guy's losing probably 1,000 soldiers a day. So he's not going to bow down to the wishes of America. But I think Trump is learning that now. But this is not the only word. This is not where this goes only. Also, coming out in the news just as current as what I just played you, because remember there was a tale of two wars going on: Ukraine and Russia, Palestine and Israel, over the Hamas attack from October 7th from nearly 3 years ago. Well, here's Netanyahu that's been on television in the last 24 hours. Now, I want us.
Israel is presented as though we are applying a campaign of starvation in Gaza. What a bold-faced lie. There is no policy of starvation in Gaza, and there is no starvation in Gaza. We enable humanitarian aid throughout the duration of the war to enter Gaza, otherwise there would be no Gazans. And what has interdicted the supply of humanitarian aid is one force: Hamas. Again, the reversal of truth. Hamas robs, steals this humanitarian aid, and then accuses Israel of not supplying it.
So the stance from Netanyahu is that they're not deliberately starving the citizens of Gaza. They're not deliberately starving the Palestinians. They're suggesting that aid is going into that area and that Hamas is taking the aid and either stealing or selling it. I believe I heard them say sell it. Now, I don't know what value money would have in an area that is pretty much a demolition zone as Gaza is. You ever see the old, for some of my Generation X viewers, you ever see the old Mad Max movies with Mel Gibson? Remember the environment it was supposedly after, nuclear war, whatever. Did you see any money being used in that environment where everything's destroyed and you're literally fighting over the primary resources to survive? Were they exchanging actual paper money in that movie? I don't recall that, because I don't see how Gaza would take aid and sell it. Sell it to who? You don't have the ability to leave the Gaza Strip or the West Bank. You don't have the ability to leave because Israel's occupying it and preventing that. So what are you selling it to, the other folks? You're selling it to Palestinians? I don't know where that's coming from, but they are saying that they're taking the aid and selling it. The reason I'm playing Netanyahu, though, is because President Trump is responding to the claims from Netanyahu.
There was no starvation. Trump today notably breaking with Netanyahu, offering direct U.S. support.
So we're going to set up food centers and where the people can walk in and no boundaries. We're also going to make sure that they don't have barriers stopping people. You've seen the areas where they actually have food, and the people are screaming for the food in there. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it, and you can't fake that.
CNN's Jeff Zeleny is covering the president's.
I don't want to go into CNN, but obviously just wanted to play the clips coming out of Trump's mouth. So it's pretty clear President Trump does not believe what Netanyahu is trying to put out there, that nobody's starving. And I'm watching News Nation while I'm getting ready for this show with you folks, and they got spokespeople that are on television still adamantly stating there's no starvation going on in Israel or in Palestine. There's nobody starving. I think that is a losing battle for the Israelis. Too many photos and videos have come out of that area. It does not help whatsoever that since the conflict began, the Israelis have been preventing journalists and the Red Cross and all of them from going in there and documenting what is taking place. So the only way to know what's happening in Gaza is for footage to leak out, or you got to trust the Israelis. And I don't think that's working. That's Trump states here, and I agree with him. Maybe some of you do, maybe some of you don't, but I don't believe you can fake starvation. I don't believe that you can fake that. Now, also, as I stated before, I don't buy that the Hamas is taking food and selling it. I don't know who would be using currency in that environment they're in right now. I just do not see that in an extreme desperate state. So it does appear as if Israel is lying. Now, the whole purpose of this live is the subject we're going to talk about today is, did Trump misjudge many of the world leaders? Zelensky, Vladimir Putin. Now we're talking about Benjamin Netanyahu. Has he, 7 months. Now, the clips I've shown you, all of this stuff is just, a few months old at most. I think the oldest clip is him arguing with Zelensky of the Ukraine. Now, all of a sudden, we're arming the Ukraine and we're making threats to impose sanctions on Russia. Now, I didn't go as far enough to really discuss Iran, but keep in mind, folks, Tulsi Gabbard testified that Iran was not working on obtaining a nuclear bomb. Netanyahu said they were. So the same guy that's claiming there's no starving in Palestine is likely responsible for us going into Iran as well. So I do want you guys to keep that in mind. Is Trump misjudging world leaders? We're going to talk about that. And of course, I want to hear from you folks on this whole Cincinnati issue. I don't know enough about it, so you guys can cue me in on it. Nevertheless, see the comments, Mike says he's incompetent. Well, we'll talk about it. Because Trump did start out speaking favorably of Russia, not so favorably of Zelensky, favorably of Israel. Obviously, he still has no love for Hamas. Understandable. But it's starting to look like the information coming from Netanyahu is not necessarily trustworthy. Simple conversation we're going to have here today. What do you think of these world leaders? What do you think of Trump judging the world as a whole? How do you like his foreign policy? Because he is ranking higher than the liberals on foreign policy. We talked about this on yesterday's show. Trump is doing better than the liberals on virtually every issue with the exception of healthcare. His foreign policy, he is ranking above the liberals. Facts Only says, how? I don't know. But they took a poll and Trump is leading. So looking in the comments, the more people say move on from Epstein, the more we will talk about it. Release the Epstein file, says Chris Ruth. We're not really talking about Epstein today, but I'm telling you, I'm talking to MAGA. I was in a MAGA live today where you generally find me when I'm not doing my own. And I talked to several MAGA that they are adamant that no list exists. The list does not exist. Trump hasn't done anything wrong. The liberals made it up, almost similar to the whole Trump claiming it's a Democrat hoax. They're claiming that the Democrats fabricated this and no such list exists. So I would love to hear from you folks on that. That's kind of off topic, but do you think it's time to let the Epstein thing go because it's a Democratic hoax and there's nothing to it? That's what I'm hearing from MAGA. They tore me to pieces for even bringing it up. Anyway, looking in the comments, I believe Trump has made a few mistakes. The first casualty of war is the truth. Well, I'm going to start out by asking, how did he make this mistake with every president before him on the Republican side of the aisle as well? We're talking Bush Jr., we're talking George H.W., we're talking George W., we're talking Obama, we're talking Biden. None of them spoke favorably of Vladimir Putin. Why would he become commander-in-chief and view what all of these folks said with all the experience, all of the different various intelligence agencies they've been dealing with over the last few decades? Why would he think they were all wrong and that Russia was somehow a victim in all of this? Why did he do that to begin with? I don't know, but I want to hear from you folks. Anyway, tap the screen. We'll start taking callers. Get the likes on up to about 15,000. The EU is panicking. How is the EU panicking? Fernando Chavez. I'd love to hear your opinion on why the EU is panicking. I heard they made a deal with Trump. Obama is on the list too, says I love my... Well, they're claiming no list exists. How can Obama be on a list that doesn't exist? Remember Oprah Winfrey and Tom Hanks and Will Smith? You know, it sounded great when it was just a whole list of liberals. Now that it's starting to look like Trump might be in the crosshairs, suddenly there's no list. I had folks, like I said, they were arguing with me that no list existed and the liberals make this shit up. My response was simple. A year ago today, late July 2024, none of you guys are talking like this. You couldn't be paid. You could not be paid to believe a list did not exist a year ago. Now all of a sudden you're adamantly stating the list doesn't exist. Going straight to the box, tap the screen, get the likes on up to 15,000. We'll start out with the Honorable Mike. No list exists, Mike. What say you?
It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. They know a list exists. But what are you running down to talk to her, talk to Maxwell about if there's nothing there? Yeah. What is everybody running all over the damn place about if there's nothing there? Listen, the bottom line is he's a liar. They're a liar. Everybody on the side is a liar at minimum.
Areas where they actually have food.
So hang on a second, my damn.
So
you believe that MAGA, who's been fighting adamantly to bring to justice predators of children, suddenly don't care about this list?
They don't listen. If they think he's on that list, they don't want that list to come out.
So they would put Trump, the safety and integrity of Trump's administration, or Trump as a leader, they would put that above children that were violated?
Didn't they just do that in Texas about the floods? Didn't they not take money from Biden because it was coming from Biden? That would have protected them children.
Yeah, but at the time they didn't. At the time when they didn't take money from Biden, they didn't know. They didn't do this after the flood.
That's what I'm saying. They did it before. They did it before the flood. They wouldn't take money from Biden. The Trump supporters, the Republicans down there, would not take money from Biden just because it was coming from Biden to protect.
Yeah, but I know that's true. But what I'm saying is, when they refused to take money from Biden, there was currently no actual victims of a flood. It was happening in the future. In this case, this has happened in the past. There are actual victims out there.
Yeah, but that's not true, Tim. They had previous victims in that same flood alley. They had people that died in 1987 in a bus that couldn't get out of that flood alley. So
but by the time Biden offered them money, 1987 was long ago.
That's my point. They had historical evidence that said this is a problem.
Yeah.
They had been trying to get funding for that flood zone for years. He offered it to them. They said, you saw the video, you can pull it up, where they said they didn't want to take anything coming from him. So when you ask me, will they put their ideologies in front of their children, my answer is yes.
Now I am 100% aware of that video. I have seen the video, and I don't have an answer for that. Like I always make it clear, I'm not a know-it-all. I'd like to hear from you or anybody else in the comments. Why do you think that is? Why would people turn down relief funds or effort because they don't like the guy it came from? Why would they turn money down?
But Tim, here, check this out. And I would love this whole big beautiful bill and cutting these resources, and they will take resources away from white folks if they think black folks are going to get them too. That's not new.
I know it's not new, but give me an example of in modern times of a party of white people turning down resources that can help them out because they don't want black people to also be potential benefiters from it.
The big beautiful bill. When you talk to Trump supporters or people with that ideology, they talk about welfare as if welfare was created for brown and black folks. It wasn't. Yeah. Who was the biggest recipient of Social Security and welfare and Medicaid? Who is the biggest recipient of those social programs, Tim?
Yeah, that's white people. Yeah, I mean it's not enough. It's not enough blacks in the country.
Right, but if you ask them, they think that it's black and brown, so they figure, go get a job and stop being lazy. Where are all of those stereotypes?
So wait a minute. Are you? Hold on. And by the way, folks, tap the screen, Certainly get the likes on up to about 15,000. Helps out the algorithm. You know how the program is ran. We are and always will be MAGA friendly. So tap the screen, get the likes up. We go left of Bernie Sanders, Trump having dinner with you. This is Uncensored program. You're going to hear opinions on all sides. But what I want to ask you is, based on what you're saying, Mike, if this country was all white, suddenly there would be a hell of a lot more people in favor of welfare programs. Is that what you're saying?
Isn't that where the programs came from? They didn't have a problem when they first created the. Who did they create the programs for to begin with, Tim?
Well, they created the programs allegedly for the poor.
Well, but again, how far back do they go? So let's walk this back. When did these social programs start? In the 30s?
Well,
20s?
Does it go back that? I don't think it go back that far, do it?
You go to 40s at least to World War II.
Okay.
Well, we couldn't even vote. Those programs weren't for us.
Well, yeah.
And it's so funny. It's so funny when I try not to stay out of the comments when they say I sound crazy. It's so weird how white folks just don't want to accept our history. I'm not making this up. If we couldn't vote and these social programs were before we could even vote, they weren't for us.
Well, you're telling me just because you can't vote, you don't get access to help if you need it?
Well, what does redlining come from? What are all these other? What are all of these other programs come from? Or these unwritten rules? Jim Crow wasn't written down anywhere, was it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not. But I mean, so you're saying that if you were an impoverished black person back in the 1930s or 40s, and there were welfare programs available that whites could access, it was inaccessible to blacks.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Whether legally or illegally, because you got to understand, people always talk about that. The Constitution, it wasn't written for us, but they say it was. Yeah. But every amendment, we had to have an amendment for all of our rights. So yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't like to equivocate about this because I think it gets fluffed up too much about, well, the context. No, the country's history is what it is.
Yeah. I see some people bringing up LB, Lyndon B. Johnson and war on poverty, but that's well after what we're discussing. And Lyndon B. Johnson is in the 60s. So that's a couple of decades later. That's well after what we're talking about.
Right. And then the party switch started happening. And right. So we can talk about conservatism and progression. I mean, it's not as if what I'm saying is not factual. They just don't like to hear it. And so when we look at it today, so back to your original question, you asked about these programs. Yes, I believe that this country will sacrifice the poor of every color to make sure that black and brown poor don't get something. Yes, I do. I believe that 100%.
Here's what I don't get in regards to what you're saying. Wouldn't this nation be better off if everybody was fed and healthy? I mean, as opposed to leaving one group of people behind?
Yes. How can we be the wealthiest nation on the planet, yet still be having these conversations? So it's not that complicated, right? And yes, we would be. I believe there was a study that said that the laws that we pass in this country to oppress marginalized communities from the wealth gap perspective has cost this country over $16 trillion. Of just not making things accessible to black and brown folks, right? So you got to ask yourself, Tim, we have veterans on the street.
Yeah.
Veterans. So I don't want to hear about...
Well, wait a minute. In defense of President Trump, that may not be happening soon. President Trump has now passed legislation that gives him the power to commit folks that are on the street. So, if they're on drugs or things like that, he can actually take them in and voluntarily commit them. That's housing.
So who will be the targets? And here's the thing. Don't change the historical narratives to fit your agenda because people are so fragile about this topic. Who would you presume are going to be the targets of that law? All homeless people? Will it be all homeless people, Tim? Don't look down. Ain't nothing down there.
No. No, I was going to say that the downtrodden, the poor people are going to be the targets of it.
They don't care. All of this nonsense. I'm gonna take this all the way back to your topic. weren't we aware that over in Gaza, that those children and those people were starving, right? Or this would be the end result if we didn't act in getting them aid before the election.
I don't know. I don't recall hearing under the Biden administration. I mean, we knew that there was, an insane amount of unnecessary killing of the Palestinians, but the starvation stuff probably was in its infancy now. Infancy then, and I hate to use that word considering how many babies are coming up, but
no, you're right. It was, and they were saying then. You remember when they were trying to drop off shipments, and then they made the bridge coming off the water. When was that? That was last year or the beginning of this year? So it's not like we didn't know. Intelligence agencies been telling us that this was a crisis for months. Yeah. This isn't new. Well, so now that Trump speaks up now, and he wants credit for it, he could have done something. Again, either he's the all-powerful Oz or he's not.
Yeah, but then but you're going to listen. There is a valid deflection in this. I mean, because they were yelling genocide. Joe has got to go as well. So is it wrong to blame Trump when Biden was lacking on this as well?
How so?
He wasn't doing shit. He was still, just like the Israelis are getting assistance from us to wage this war, they were receiving it from Biden. I mean, the Palestinians, / Hamas, they were neutralized under Biden as well. And Biden was doing little to nothing to stop the Israelis.
He was actually, and I'm not even going to push back that hard on that point, Tim. But here's what I'm going to say. When he was providing them aid, because we created this bullshit system, and I call it bullshit because we're giving any country, enough money so they have free health care, and we're still over here arguing and fighting about health care. Makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. Yeah. But I digress.
Yeah.
Biden was also saying this shit's got to stop, right? Now,
wait a minute. Come on now. You know damn well you would not give Trump credit for saying this shit has got to stop. Trump has been saying that since he became president. If you want action, just yelling it's got to stop is irrelevant.
100%, Tim. I'm not even pushing back on that. Where I was going with that was because Biden was saying that, and Trump and his administration and his party was saying that he was going to come in and stop that shit and fix it on day one in 24 hours. They voted for him because they didn't think Biden was doing enough.
True. That is true.
And so where are we now? Is it better or worse?
It's absolutely worse on both fronts. Russia and Ukraine, Israelis and Palestinians. Both of those wars have gotten significantly worse since Trump became president.
That's my point. I'm not saying that, and I don't believe it would be this bad if Biden or Harris were in office. I don't.
You think the Ukraine-Russian war would not be this bad?
I actually don't. I don't think it would be this bad.
Based on what?
Because I don't think that we would have stopped supplying Ukraine.
That is true. But that don't mean that the Russians would have backed off. It just means the Ukrainians would have been doing more. In fact, if Biden or Kamala Harris had won in 2024 and continued the Biden policy, you probably would have had more dead because the Ukrainians would have been killing an equal amount of Russians. Since Trump took office and paused the aid to the Ukraine, the killing was mainly focused on the Ukrainian side. There were some Russians, a few, because they still had some weapons and they still have their own determination and drive. But if Biden was president, you'd probably have a significant amount of more killing because the Ukrainians would have killed a lot more people than they have.
Well, maybe Russia would have slowed down their assault.
You think that's going to happen?
Remember, you remember that last time when Biden, right before he left, he sent them arms, right? Right before he left office.
Right.
And he did it because, again, Russia can't sustain this without Ukraine. They can't sustain it. That's why you think they got troops from North Korea.
I don't know. They can, but wouldn't you agree they can sustain it longer than the Ukraine?
Not if we're supporting Ukraine. No, I don't.
You think you think the Russians will run out of supporting arms before the Ukrainians?
Yes, I do. With our support, yes.
Then what? Then that leaves only one solution for the Russians is to upgrade the weapons they're using: hypersonic, atomic. I mean, if they really use their entire arsenal, do you think the Ukraine, even with our assistance, could hold off that onslaught?
I think with all the tools at our disposal as far as sanctions, helping with weapons and stuff like that, I believe that we could. You know,
I don't. When you say sanctions, do you think sanctions are working on Russia at all? Now, Trump has stated he's going to drop the period of. He was threatening sanctions on Russia in 50 days if they don't comply and start showing that they want to end this war. He's dropped it down to 10 because he said he's not seeing any daylight from Russia. Do you think those sanctions are going to amount to anything going against Russia?
Not when it comes to Trump. Listen, I don't have. Here's the thing. Here's my problem with. I have no faith that Trump does anything in good faith. So it's hard to really put my finger on the end result of what he's going to do because you can never tell because he's always moving the goalposts, right? He's always moving the goalposts, and I think that a lot of this is self-inflicted.
Maybe he's not moving the goalposts. Maybe he's just playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers.
He's not. He's incompetent. This motherfucker is incompetent, Tim. It's not even. That's not even up for discussion. The fact that they ran on woke and DEI and meritocracy, and they've hired and they're working with so many people that are unqualified to do what they do is absurd. He's incompetent. His entire administration is incompetent. I would say the only one that I could think is actually competent enough to be in the position that he's in is Marco Rubio, and he's fucking up.
But while you're calling the Trump administration or President Trump himself incompetent, one might suggest that he's getting deals done. He just got another deal done with the EU today. He's talking about. I mean, is he not accomplishing something? I mean, got the big beautiful bill passed, whether you like it or not. He did do that. I mean, like I brought up before, he's polling higher than the Democrats on every damn level imaginable, with the exception of healthcare. The border is secure beyond imaginable means. He's even deporting people that don't belong here. Are you sure that reflects incompetence?
Are you fucking with me right now? Did you ask? Was that a loaded question? It absolutely. Listen, Tim. It absolutely shows incompetence. Because here's the thing: if he was that competent in what he was doing, he would have moved it through Congress and the Senate through our normal legislative process instead of all these executive orders. That's number one. But
what about the idea that Biden left such a border and immigration mess behind? He didn't have time to wait for Congress and going through it. He stepped in, he did what he could by executive order, and he's getting the job done. Do you give him any credit at all for securing?
No, and I'm going to tell you why I don't, Tim. This man has had 10 years to put a bill on the table for the borders. He didn't do it his first term. He's had 10 years to put a health care plan forward. He hasn't done that either. Tell me what he's done that's positive for all Americans outside of this bill, and there has not been one economist that said that it's going to be positive.
But hold on. At the end of the day, if the goal is to secure the border and get the folks who do not belong here out of this country, does it really matter if he does it via Congress or via an executive order? Now, obviously, when he leaves office, somebody else could come and reverse it if he does it by executive order. But right now,
did he ever fix it?
Yeah, huh?
So did he ever fix it?
It's going to take a long time. If you got 3.5 more years of Trump, with the amount of deportations he's working on per day, even if you get a liberal in there that tries to rescind some of the things that Trump's done, it's going to take a long time to undo all of the results of his deportations. I mean, about 3 more years from now, can you imagine how many people are going to be gone? So if the goal is to secure the border, he's doing that, even though it's not through Congress. Do you give him credit for meeting his goal?
No, and you keep conflating this shit. This is crazy to me. So you keep giving credit for not doing it legally, right? He's got executive orders.
He didn't do anything illegal. He has executive power to do what he's doing for the border. I mean, it would be better to do it through Congress to solidify it, but most of the stuff he's doing by executive order is legal.
Is it, again, Tim, if you just said if he comes out of office, he walks away, and somebody can just uplift the executive order, did he fix anything? Did he truly fix anything? You know, I can keep my door shut by just holding it shut. But did I absolutely fix it? If when I let it go, it opens up again?
I hear what you're saying, but I'll respond with two answers. First of all, if he does this via executive order, he didn't solidify it, as you say. He codified or whatever. So you're saying he didn't fix it because the next guy can undo it. That is true, but while he was in office, he did what he promised, at least for that time. Also, I will follow up saying this. Can you imagine if this man gets out all of the undocumented, all the illegals, does what a lot of people in this country voted him in for, and because he done it by executive order, a liberal comes in and reverses that? Can you imagine how bad that would be for the liberal party if you put a liberal in there and they open the borders back up and do all of the shit that Trump got elected to stop? So my guess is, even if he don't get Congress, the next liberal is not going to reverse what he did right away because it's so unpopular to do so.
Okay, so let's back up. The border was never open, and the border.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I understand what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm not talking to you. Okay. I'm talking about these motherfuckers in here with us because they've always said the borders were wide open, and then he closed the borders. Those two words don't exist. They've never existed, and are. I'm just saying, right?
Let me say it this way, as opposed to using the incorrect statement that the borders is open. Let's put it this way. Under Biden, there was a wave for thousands of migrants to come into this country via seeking asylum in most cases. Under Trump, there is no way for thousands of migrants to come in this country. So that comes across as if Trump has closed the border. Technically, you're right. The border was never open. But under Trump, it's definitely closed. And that's what a lot of voters wanted.
Yeah, but and this is what I'm saying, Tim. When you say close it, like he's not allowing people to seek asylum at all. So
he ain't allowing nobody in, period. You can barely even take a vacation in America right now under Trump.
But isn't that against the law?
Technically, it doesn't.
I mean, see, here's the thing. Did you watch that South Park?
No, I am dying to see. I'm hearing about that from. I have not seen it. I am dying to see that. How can where's that viewable at?
It's on Paramount.
I'm going to try to watch that the minute I get off this live. I've heard nothing about that, nothing but that all day long. I am dying to see that.
Well, you're gonna, and the reason I bring that up is because you can. That's why Biden didn't want to go do. That's why he didn't want to have this executive order on the border to begin with. Right? People act like Biden never put forth legislation that was shot down every time. Every time he put down a new immigration.
Maybe he should. Well, that's not. You're not defending Biden because I'm going to tell you something. Trump has proven you don't have to deal with all the bullshit from Congress. If you want to get something done, Biden could have did the same executive orders that Trump is doing.
Why not? But here's the part, and this is why I push back on you about this topic. Why? First of all, the crisis wasn't what they said it was. Let's be clear. Let's be clear.
Perception is reality.
Again, Tim. When you conflate a crisis and then say he didn't do anything, right? It's double speak. It's double speak. When you look at the numbers, Tim, it wasn't nearly as what they said it was. If that's not your starting foundation, then the rest of the conversation isn't accurate.
I'm just going to tell you.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then. You know, I like to be factual. Did anyone ever show that we had rapists and murderers, that these other countries opened up their prisons and allowed them to pour into this country? Did anybody ever show you numbers to support that, Tim?
No.
Ever?
No.
Okay, when you look at the total number of encounters, and again, people talk about encounters and illegal, all of this cross-speak was bullshit. All of it. And let's be clear before you move on.
Mm-hmm.
Trump literally changed the narrative before he left office the first time by changing how many cases can be prosecuted, or how each attorney had to prosecute a certain amount of cases. You go look this shit up, and then how many judges were reassigned.
Yeah, to me, I'm not doubting your facts, but I think the more you speak, the more incompetent. Because you started out by talking about Trump is incompetent. To me, you make Biden look even more incompetent because hold on, hear me out. You're making Biden look incompetent because You need to understand perception is reality. Okay, the border may not have been open, or maybe the numbers Trump was giving were not true. But if the public is perceiving that it is, you can't just keep running around saying it's not true when people clearly believe it is. You got to get ahead of this. Biden did not get ahead of it, and he caused the liberals to lose big time in the 2024 election. I'll give you the last word, but you make the man look incompetent.
No, I don't. You're doing that. You're doing. I'm gonna tell you why. Well, then tell me how many times Biden put forth an immigration bill, Tim, when he was in office.
I know he put forth when he first took. I know when he first took office, and of course the one they shot down about a year before he left office. I know at least two of them.
There were two. At least two of them. There were 2 times in between there when they said we're not going to sign it because it had the money for Ukraine in it. So they stripped that out and they presented it.
That's the one at the end, yeah.
And they still. Right. And so he ultimately did the executive order, but he didn't want to do it because he wanted the normal political process to play out. And what did he do? And when he did it, what happened? He got sued.
You got to read the room better than that, Mike. I'm just simply saying, you see everybody's crying out.
I can't read the room. It's not everybody, though, because here's the part that you're saying. It's not everybody. I can't read the room for fascism and try to be factual with some people that's not their end goal. Their end goal was never about borders. It was never about safety. I keep telling you that. It was never about the things they said it was about. Because if that was the case, Tim, the numbers don't show that was their intent. Why are they breaking so many rules right now? Did you just see the ruling today? Where now the Justice Department has to come out and say that they arrested people in California illegal, and they got to drop all the charges because they manufactured. Did you see that?
No, I heard about it, though. That's the perception is reality. The perception under Trump now is that they're mistreating Americans and mistreating immigrants, and he's not doing enough about that either. That's something we'll be discussing probably in a few years in the next term. But I got to move it on. I'm simply saying perception is reality. Trump can deny doing that just as much as Biden could deny the borders were not open. But at the end of the day,
if you allow perception to take over, people get unalived and get hurt. That's my problem with this. We're not talking about a sporting event, because if the perception was that migrants and immigrants and black and brown folks are the criminals and they're the scum and they're poisoning the blood of the earth, that allows people to buy into that perception and ignore the brutality and the cruelty. That's why you can never relent on that, Tim, because that's what people do.
All right, well,
that's what people do.
Elections are won and lost away. I got to move it on, Mike. Thank you for coming through.
Hey, by the way, I need you to get rid of that Boogaloo Boy shirt you got on. I'm just saying.
What the fuck? I'm doing this in honor of the Beach Boys. I wish they all could be California girls. Thanks for coming through, Mike. All right, moving on with the program. By the way, tap the screen. Real quick in the comments, Timmy Tim says, you just lost, bro. It's not about winning and losing. Did I lose? Okay, fair enough. I always enjoy talking to Mike. If I get my ass kicked by a knowledgeable liberal, so be it. I like your shirt, Tim. Thank you very much. Oh my God, I feel so bad about the shirt. Looking in the comments, you and Biden, the quest shows walking. Wait a minute. You and Biden, the quest shows walking got the same IQ, less 5. Okay, I don't know what you're saying there, Connie. Trump is doing a great job since Florida Blondie. I've went over this already in regards to President Trump. You know, I've talked to some MAGA that gives him an A+, all the way down to some MAGA that's giving him a C. I don't, to me, in my opinion, I think that if you see Trump is doing a great job, he's doing a great job because you're paying attention to things you wanted him to do, and the things that you wanted him to do that he's failing at, you're giving him a pass or allowing him to delay on it. How could you look at the Epstein list and walk away with a great job, or the ending the wars in 24 hours? Look, he's getting some things done that folks on the right favors, such as securing the border. He's doing an A+ on that. But there's a lot of other campaign promises that are falling flat. So how can he be doing a great job? Well, because I'm only paying attention to the things that he's accomplishing. The things that he's not accomplishing, I'm not judging those yet. I'll give him grades on those in the future. Well, then anybody can do well under that type of grading system. Anyway, tap the screen. Get me on up to 20,000. We'll take the next caller at that. Obama, not Obama, Obama needs marched up to a wall, and you know what? Someone is calling for the unaliving. Sounds like more of a firing squad, I think it is. Here's what I want to say about the Obama case. I'll give a shout out to President Trump, certainly with MAGA, because one of the things he has that very few other politicians has is if Trump says something, people just believe it. When Tulsi Gabbard came out and said Obama tried to, steal the 2016 election and committed an act of treason, that was good enough for MAGA. Certainly once Trump started echoing it and saying Tulsi Gabbard has found this and, Obama was treasonous, no evidence, no proof has been presented at all. That was all that was necessary to go on. And Trump does have that ability of what he's just like obviously we can talk about the 2020 election. Trump announced later that night that he had won by a landslide. MAGA was already believing that. Obviously, January 6th is only 2 months after the 2020 election, and they're raiding the Capitol building. They're still doing investigations. Trump is still making claims of how the election was stolen. And the authorities are still investigating. Why are you raiding the Capitol building? You haven't even gotten official proof of how the investigation turned out. Because if Trump says something, it's good to go. So when Trump says that Obama committed an act of treason, no proof is necessary. Trump said it, we're good to go. So Trump does get a hierarchy in that is likely unparalleled by any other politician in our lifetime. I see the comments. Signum Circus says, King Trump, please. Nobody is perfect, but Trump has done more for America than any Democrat. Well, Jose, depends on what you consider as doing great for America. It just really depends. I mean, if you believe that Trump is doing more for America than any other Democrat, then you probably lean right. I mean, I can understand it. You just simply lean right. I could come up with a whole bunch of rebuttals, but if you lean right, you're not going to hear those. What proof Joe Biden had when they arrested Trump? Why don't people? Okay, I'll respond to that before I take the next caller. What proof did they have when Trump was arrested down in Georgia? That is not Biden, rather. What proof did Biden have when they arrested? Biden had nothing to do with that. That's once again Trump having the power to say something, and therefore it is. Trump makes it sound like any problems he's having is being done by the Democrats. The assassination had to be a Democrat. He didn't prove that. He's even stating that the Epstein stuff was created by the Democrats. There's no evidence of that. And folks are patterning that. MAGA's starting to echo that. It's a Democratic hoax. There is zero evidence that the whole Epstein thing was orchestrated by the Democrats. Trump is going to make it sound like any of his troubles are coming by way of Democrats, because if you're MAGA, everybody knows you don't like the Democratic Party. But a lot of the stuff that Trump is going through is at the behest of other groups he's made enemies out of. I don't know who the hell tried to take his life. But the idea that that person is automatically a Democrat when Trump makes enemies for breakfast, could be a Muslim, could be a member of the LGBTQ community. You could have women out there trying to take hits on this guy. Could be anybody. Could be somebody who lost health care. Some of his policies could have pissed somebody off. It could be any damn body. It doesn't just have to be a liberal. There are a host of conservatives. Marjorie Taylor Greene is all over the damn news over the last few weeks, criticizing Trump for going into Iran, suggesting that Trump's going to lose his MAGA base if he doesn't release the Epstein list. And now she's criticizing him on continuing to back Israel. She's not a liberal. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene that's saying all kinds of negative shit about him. So the idea that there's always liberals and now his mugshot has to be a liberal too, that's not true. And there's certainly no evidence that Biden had anything to do with it. Going back to the box, thank you folks that are tapping the screen. We'll continue on with the one and only Gen X. Good evening, Gen X. Welcome to the program. How you doing, man?
What's going on, Mr. Tim?
Not much at all.
How's your Monday?
Huh?
How's your Monday?
Oh, man, what do I always say? I'm hanging around like Jesse Jackson at a Klan meet. Today's been all right. So,
man, I spent the day packing. I've been packing for the last couple days.
Where you going?
Man, I part there's this little town in Arkansas that's all white folks. I'm packing my shit and heading there.
We talked about that yesterday.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, we talked about that town in Arkansas. Do you think that's a good thing? Do you favor that?
I'm not going to say I necessarily favor it, but I think they've got a right to do it. Now, let me.
Hey, yeah, you got to explain that shit. You got to explain
They
that.
have a right to do it, granted that they honor all of the local, state, and federal laws within their community.
Then how the hell could you do it if you honor the laws?
Very easily. If you buy land, you're allowed to do what you want with your land. You're allowed to say, who you want to have a house on that land. It's completely legal. There's nothing illegal about it.
I don't know if you have an apartment complex, because obviously everybody in that town is not going to be owners. There's going to be renters. If you refuse to rent to non-whites, that's not legal, is it?
That's kind of putting the carriage in front of the horse, because nowhere did I read they're going to have an apartment complex. I doubt they'll even have a little gas station. They'll probably use the local community's resources as far as groceries and gas and stuff like that. But the people that are going to live in the community are going to have their own homes on a given piece of purchased land, developed land.
So what happens if you got landscaping comes out, or any other service? You need a plumber, you need a roofer. You're going to say they all have to be white?
I never read anything that said that they couldn't be white.
Well, first of all, there's not a lot of white people that like to do those jobs. So
Exactly. So
right.
Again, my point, I've never heard them say anything about, our all white community means that we're going to have only white people working on our construction and our lake, because they're going to have contractors to go in there and build stuff. Although I don't know how skilled they are. They may have the skill sets to do that. But if you're going to hire somebody for a service, what difference does it make, what their skin color is?
I disagree with you on the notion that it is legal in any way, shape, or form. I think right off the bat you're gonna run into all kinds of problems. I mean, from the simple standpoint of you've already announced you're racist to begin with. So if people sue you for any damn thing, the fact that you're already on record as announcing we're creating a whole racist town is not gonna work well if any jury in a civil case get their hands on this. You've already announced you're a fucking racist. So I don't see it going anywhere. I mean, it's a bad idea to come out and say that ahead of time.
Tim, let me ask you a question. Remember a few years back when some of the HBCUs, they wanted to have their college dorm rooms black only, black exclusive? Did you have as much problems with that?
If they had done it, if they had successfully done it, I would have, yeah. It's a big difference between what you want to do and what you're actually trying to do.
Well, they were trying to do it. That's the point.
Then I would have a problem with it. I would have a problem with an HBCU. I mean, I don't know how many white people want to go to an HBCU anyway, but if they wanted to go and they got evidence that they were denied simply due to their skin color, yeah, I would have problems with it. I don't think it works in a favor, particularly of people that look like me, to have a segregated anything in America. We have a history of segregation in this country, and it was horrible for people like me. So I'm not a fan of anything being segregated.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take you at face value on that one.
Okay.
I bet you nobody there gets Cincinnati.
Wait, say that again. You bet what?
I said, I bet you nobody there gets Cincinnati.
You bet nobody, but it's all white town?
And nobody's going to get Cincinnati in an all-white community.
Shit, I wouldn't want to get a flat driving past that community. I mean, at risk of getting Cincinnati. I mean, throughout America history, people getting Cincinnati in all-white towns was exceptionally common. I would take that bet any day that would likely happen to somebody. Somebody is passing through that town, or.
What do you think about what happened in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
With that assault, how do you feel about that? Well, what's your thoughts on that?
Something, I've seen it covered in the news. I'm not 100% aware of what happened. Cue me in on a little bit what you've seen. I know there was a white couple that got beat up by a black mob or something like that.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, there's two sides to the story. First side is all the black folks stomping the shit out of those white folks was wrong. Okay. They were acting like a bunch of thugs, just like Vance said in his little press brief or whatever. But even he said, I don't know all the facts, so it appears that a bunch of thugs, jumped on some white folks. Now, the second part of that, I'm going to put my Tim hat on and say, if you're white around a whole bunch of black folks, even if somebody runs their mouth, shut up. That's like running your mouth around cops. You know there's something fucked up's gonna happen. Keep your mouth shut. Did they deserve that? Probably not. Do I think that there may have been some words exchanged before? Yeah, I do, and I think that it was a very unwise decision to do that, especially consider their surroundings and their circumstances. Yeah. What else is going to come out of that but an ass whooping?
Yeah, I do agree with the importance of reading the room. I get criticized a lot from my liberal side, certainly when I'm about doing it with police. But I went to 2 events recently where I don't know. I think people like me were outnumbered probably 500 to 1 or more. I went to a Matt. What was the guy's name? He's a comedian. I cannot think of his name now. Not Matt Friend. He's a white guy. He's all over Facebook and things like that. A young guy in his late 20s, and he's very funny. I cannot think of it. Yeah, Matt Rife. Yeah, Matt Rife. I went to a comedy show with Matt Rife over in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh yeah, he's good.
And it very funny guy, but the audience was it was a full stadium. You're talking, I don't know, maybe 30,000 people. It was definitely well over 500 to 1 in terms of black versus white. Very, very few black people there. And then I went to see Nelly not long ago. Out in the middle of Iowa. I went to see Nelly not long ago. Once again, big audience, probably 500 to 1 as well. Nelly attracts a lot of white people. So I understand the point of reading the room, because I'm thinking the same shit. If something kicks off here, there's nothing you can do. If for some reason you say something and somebody got beef with you or something like that, you ain't talking your way out of this. I mean, it's like you're overwhelmingly outnumbered. And in this current environment, it don't take a lot to spark people. So I am a big advocate of trying to de-escalate situations as much as possible, because shit can get out of hand. Now, in this case of Cincinnati, I don't know what happened, but I tend to agree with you. It probably was some words exchanged, and this guy didn't read the room and realize.
Someone said it was a drug deal gone bad.
Oh, really?
Well, that's what someone said. I read that somewhere. I don't know. I didn't read that myself in the news. Someone had mentioned it in one of the chats. And I was like, oh, well, that's even putting yourself more in a fucked up position. Yeah. If it was, in fact, a drug deal. You know, I learned my lesson back in the 80s when I was a young buck, okay? Me and about 20 friends went to an Eric B. and Rakim concert. Remember Eric B. and Rakim?
Of course.
And we went downtown Manhattan, and we were outnumbered, probably fucking 400 to 1. And a couple of my buddies thought it'd be a good idea to get into a fucking argument with a couple black dudes. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to go over real bad. Man, we got our asses stomped. In hindsight, if I could go back and do it again, I'd have ran and fuck what they said about it. Because I knew that was going to a place that wasn't going to end well.
Yeah, when you got that much disparity in terms of races, chances are the person you're arguing with is not going to be the only person that kick your ass. I mean, it's just simple as that. If you're outnumbered that badly, there's probably a lot of spectators that's going to throw in a free lick or something like that. So, yeah, you got to read the room. You got to read the room. And I mean, like I said, when I was at that event, I'm thinking, like, if something kicks off, it's other people that are standing around that would probably gladly try to sneak in a free punch or a kick or something, because, hey, ain't nobody going to say shit. I mean, you fuck around and end up dead doing some shit like that. So I do believe in de-escalating when you can.
Let me say this. That's not a black thing. That's not a white thing. That's a fucked up human thing, man. That's just what we fucking do.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's fucked up. But, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, but in this country, you guys have a history of doing it a whole lot more than we do. So, I mean, but you're right. It happens from both sides. If the country was mostly black, you'd have a lot more blacks doing it. But the country is mostly white. So the history of this country features mostly whites doing shit like that.
Big Wheel in your comments asked me, Gen X, why don't you like black people? Brother, I don't dislike anybody. Here's what I dislike: ignorance. All right? If you act ignorant, be it by yourself or in a group, I tend to dislike you. And I'm going to be very cliche right now. I've got black friends.
Oh, my God.
I've got my own black friends.
And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, that don't say shit, because you got slave owners that had black friends.
Tim being one of them. If Tim was in Montana and called me up and said, hey, brother, I'm on I-90, I'm broke down in Missoula, can you give a brother a hand? I would be there in a heartbeat to help this man out.
Do you have a lot of, I mean, there's no diversity in your area, is it?
Very little. There's not a lot of black folks. There's quite a few Mexicans, but man, they're getting shipped out left and right. My buddy's whole work crew got fucking deported.
God. So you ICE up there in Montana fucking with them?
Oh yeah. Especially up near Flathead and Kalispell, they're going through a whole fucking a whole big thing up there about that shit. The cartels are up there on the Indian reservations. It's pretty wild. But ICE can't go on the Indian reservation, so they got to wait for them to go into town to grab them.
So does the natives have their back? Are the natives holding them down?
I think the natives that are into dirt, of course, but the law-abiding, upstanding natives, absolutely not. They don't want the drugs in their community. That fentanyl's killed a lot of people out here.
So what are you saying, that most of the Hispanics in your community is involved in crime?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have a lot of Hispanics out here, and we do have deportations up here, and we do have roundups. Not near the big cities. But most of the Hispanics that I know, I don't know any personally. All the Hispanics I know are legit. I mean, they've been here for a while, or they're legal, as far as I know anyway. They're just regular fucking people. I ain't got a problem with them.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you right off the bat, there's so much fucking money to be made off fentanyl and other drugs. If you get rid of the Hispanics, you're going to have a few white boys in your neighborhood that's going to see that ability to make money. Everybody's capitalist. So if you get rid of the Hispanics, you're going to have a bunch of white boys like there's a big market available to us. Them customers still exist. So the idea that getting rid of Hispanics is going to reduce the drug trade in this country is insane. Everybody wants to make money.
Supply and demand. When I was young and a young idiot at 20 years old, if they took all the Mexicans out and there was no dealers, shit, I'm picking up that coattail and making some bank.
All right, Gen X, I do got to move it on. Huh?
I got one question for you, Tim. I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
I was listening to something you were talking about the other day. And I'm gonna throw a hypothetical at you. Let's say someone steals a car in the year 2000. And you can write this down if you want. Somebody steals a car in the year 2000. Mm-hmm. They put it in their garage, and it stays there until 2025.
Right.
Now, in 2025, they decide to take that vehicle, because theirs is broke down or whatever, to the grocery store, and they get pulled over, and the cop identifies it as a stolen vehicle. Should they be prosecuted for that? They're an upstanding citizen, good parent, grandparent, whatever. Should they be prosecuted and held accountable for that stolen vehicle from 25 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll use that another time, but we're going to leave that.
Well, wait, hold on. I'm not going to let you fucking get away with that, because I know what you're trying to do. Here's the difference. You're saying they stole the car and they kept it in their possession, so when they are actually caught, they're still, for the most part, in the process of committing the crime. They're still doing it today because you're driving around with stolen property. Here's the difference I would take with your scenario. You stole a car in 2000 and you got caught in that car in 2000. Should you still be punished for that in 2025? Because that's the immigrant trap you're talking about, is that should immigrants get punished?
Not if you got caught in 2025. If you commit an immigration violation in 2020 and you just happen to get caught in 2025, the same principles exist.
No, and that's where I disagree. That's where I disagree with you. If you committed a crime 25 years ago, and let's say there was a warrant out for you for 25 years, you committed now if you committed a rape or murder like Trump talks about, yeah, then that's different. But if you committed a misdemeanor or something like that 25 years ago, and let's say they had a bench warrant out for you, you were supposed to appear in court and you didn't for the last 25 years. When they catch you, they are going to take in consideration what type of citizen you've been over the last 25 years. It's going to make a big difference, as opposed to if they had caught you, if you had came in court the day you were supposed to 25 years ago versus coming in court now where you can say, I'm a married father of 2, I work at the library, I've had no criminal history. They're going to take that in consideration. So that's the difference, is that under the Trump administration, they're bringing up old crimes and they're not taking into consideration anything. Did you save some cats? Did you pull somebody out of a burning building? Did you fight on behalf of our country in Afghanistan? None of that matters. That would not apply to anybody else.
Hey, let me address something in your chat. A lot of people are bringing up statute of limitations. yes, the statute of limitations is true, but that's not how it works. The statute of limitation on a low-level felony is, I think, 5 or 7 years. Now, the statute of limitations begins the moment they find out that you actually committed the crime. If you kept that vehicle for 25 years without them knowing who stole it, why they stole it, and then you get pulled over, the statute of limitations starts. They figure out that you were the perpetrator of that crime 25 years later.
I don't think the statute of limitations apply in this case, because if you got an immigration violation, they can prove it, they can use it against you. I'm just simply saying, in Trump's case, he's taking this super duper strict approach on it. By the way, you do realize his wife is an immigration violation. She came in the country. She worked before she legally had the right to, and the visa she came in on, she don't qualify for that either. His wife was an immigrant.
What are you talking about? She's a genius.
She's what?
A genius.
I gotta go. All right, G-X. Appreciate it.
Have a good day, man. Love the shirt.
All right, she must be a genius on that dick. Anyway, tap the screen. Get the lights on up to about 40,000. Is that right? What am I looking at here? Maybe it's higher than that already. Thank you guys that are, 40,000. Got to put on my spectacles to see that shit. Tap the screen, get the lights on up. Melania Trump is a genius. Really? Genius on that dick. RGB, my apology for not responding sooner. He says MAGA are need pleasers. Somebody's saying that MAGA gets on their knees and does things. I don't know what you're saying there. Josh says, does he think the Muslim community had the right? I'd like to know more about that. What are you referring to, Josh? I would like to know more. You mean, did the Muslim community have the right to do what? Never laughed so hard in my life, says Leon. Well, we appreciate you being able to get a little bit of humor out of this program. We're asking, why does it appear, maybe I'm getting this one wrong and you guys can help clear this up, but it does appear as if Trump is judging world leaders wrong. We know him going through the whole spat with Zelensky of the Ukraine, suggesting that man didn't have the cards. Everybody saw that argument, saw that debate. But now, and I'm not going to play the Zelensky clip again, but I do want to play the clip of where we're currently at, because at first it was Russia's defending itself, and he was even blaming Zelensky of Ukraine for starting the war. Russia was, concerned that a neighbor was about to join NATO, and Russia was simply defending itself. That's the stance that Trump was taking the moment he became president. Here's the stance of President Trump. I believe this was Trump from today.
I would have said 5 times we would have had a deal. I've spoken to President Putin a lot, and then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev and kills a lot of people in a nursing home or whatever. You have bodies lying all over the street. I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him. So we're going to have to look, and I'm going to reduce that 50 days that I gave him to a lesser number, because I think I already know the answer what's going to happen. I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. We just don't see any progress being made.
And that's the point, is that he's went from blaming the Ukrainians for starting the war to now blaming the Russians for not wanting to end the bloodshed, and threatening to impose sanctions on Russia, which Russia did not comply with. So now he's going to move the sanctions up from a 50-day imposition to now 10. And of course, we talked about earlier, Benjamin Netanyahu getting on television and claiming, because there's a whole lot of reports that the Palestinians are being starved to death.
Israel is presented as though we are applying a campaign of starvation in Gaza. What a bold-faced lie. There is no policy of starvation in Gaza, and there is no starvation in Gaza. We enable humanitarian aid throughout the duration of the war to enter Gaza, otherwise there would be no Gazans.
Now let me ask something real quick before we continue on. Now obviously I got viewers on my program, both the left and the right. I got plenty of, probably more liberals right now than but I do have plenty of MAGA in addition to liberals. Is there anybody that believe what Netanyahu said, left or right? In the comments, by way of yes or no. You hear Netanyahu suggesting that nobody is starving in Israel. It's not being used as a weapon. Is there anybody that believe what he's saying? Now, see in the comments, First Watch says, I support Israel. You can support Israel, but also support them starving the Palestinians to death. Maybe you think what they did on October 7th was so bad they all need to die of starvation. You can support them while still admitting their... So is there anybody that believes what Netanyahu is saying? Even among my beloved MAGA, anybody believe that at all? Considering how much footage is coming out of that country, he's saying that they're not using starvation for a weapon. And by the way, if that's the case, he should have got ahead of this a lot sooner, because the claims of starvation are, as Mike pointed out earlier in the program, it's about a year old. People have been talking about they're starving for quite a while now. But here's President Trump in the last 24 hours responding to what Netanyahu said.
So we're going to set up food centers and where the people can walk in and no boundaries. We're also going to make sure that they don't have barriers stopping people. You know, you've seen the areas where they actually have food and the people are screaming for the food in there. A lot of people, I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that.
CNN's Jeff.
So it's pretty clear that Trump don't believe Netanyahu either. So that's the whole point of the program, is why is Trump taking such an about face on world leaders? His stance on Putin has changed 180 degrees, and now it's going that way with Netanyahu. And it certainly went that way with Zelensky of the Ukraine as well, where he believed he was one thing, now he believes he's another. He believed Putin was one thing, now he believes Putin is another. And now it's starting to happen with Netanyahu as well. How did he judge these world leaders so badly? That's what we're asking. So anyway, looking in the comments, he was just talking. He doesn't care about kids, says Michael. He does. That's why he's going to release the Epstein list. Is that not right? Ukraine gave up its nuclear arms on the condition that Russia wouldn't try to take Ukraine land back. That is true. That did not work out well. The UK and America promised to protect them should that have happened, and they didn't follow through with it. Gangsta Grandma. I've been a good boy, Gangsta Grandma. Good evening.
No, you have not. You never a fucking good boy. You're just a fucking fluffy. But look, what the hell's up with that shirt, though? My God. Come on now.
This is pimping. This is pimping, baby.
You what? you trying to pimp so bad.
I'm pimping.
I'm pimping hard. Look, I'm a pimp to pimp to that shit. What the fuck?
This is how you pimp them Hawaii hoes with this. This is pimping Hawaii hoes.
You pimping Hawaii, yeah. That's a fuck shit right there. Golly.
Why you
You're a girly pop-on God.
Oh, my God. So what do you think? This man is obviously judging world leaders and changing as the day goes on.
Let me tell you something about the fucking orange Jesus.
That's mean. That's mean.
No, okay, what you gonna do with my ass? No. Hell no.
I'm gonna hit you with this damn shirt. How about that?
You ain't about my life. You know what? Let me tell you something. Timmy. That boy, the little maggot in office, he's all about bullshit. He don't give a fuck about those people. They didn't give a fuck. None of them. Let me tell you, I wish Biden was still in office, because this shit wouldn't be going down like that. Biden will at least try to help him, you know what I mean? But this man don't give a fuck about these people.
Well, wait a minute. How can you say he doesn't? You're talking about if Biden was in office, it would be much better. Did you not hear them chanting, "Genocide Joe has got to go"? Everybody believed it.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I can't stand the far left. The little fuckwads. You know what I mean? Genocide Joe. Well, bitch, look at this. Elections has consequences. Look what you got in fucking office. I would have had her in office, and she was trying to get them to stop it. She wanted a ceasefire and everything. But no, they didn't want a black woman in office. No, they wanted this idiot in office. So you know what? Fuck around, you found out. Now look what's happening. Now look.
Yeah, but you can't. We're not giving out participation trophies. You said she was trying. Trump is trying. I mean,
Trump ain't trying to do shit, trying to put a damn resort in there. He don't want those people on that land. He even said it. Oh, we're going to make it look beautiful again. And probably put his statue up in there, too. What the fuck?
Maybe he's had to change the tune.
Oh, he ain't had no change to the white team man don't have no change to that white nationals right there don't have no change to. He does not like him. They don't like none of them over there. They don't like him. They don't like them.
I mean, I even have.
You're not Israel. He don't like you.
I even have an African American first watchers in the comments saying, "Good job, President Trump." Are you sure he's not? I mean, he got a lot of black folks that even think Trump is doing a good job.
And they want to be white so bad. Yes, master. They want it up his ass. Yes, master. They like it. They like the little uncooked fucking meat up down their fucking throat. That's what they want. They want to be that. You know what I mean? Because they want to be white so fucking bad. They're thinking they're going to be savior. That he's going to be savior. But no, bitch, they're coming for you next.
I got to get clarity from you, from the folks at home. I've heard you clear this up with me, but I want you to explain it to them. What do you mean by the phrase uncooked meat?
Well, you're a man. You may not have seen it.
What the hell is that?
I have seen you, the white team man, butt nakedness. And honey, when I say I need Jesus, I went straight lesbian. I tell you, uncooked. Oh my God! I tell you, that's why I'm pro-black. I like my black men. I mean, I can look at them; they're fucking gorgeous. I mean, the dangling ladies, they fucking like uncooked. You know what I mean? But then you go up there like, God, wait, you know what I mean? God,
so,
I couldn't do it too.
So you're suggesting that you're suggesting that the genitalia of a Caucasian male resembles uncooked meat.
Uncooked meat, and the women. Oh my God, they're worse than the men. Like they be talking mad shit about black women, honey. Shit.
Oh my God.
This got the color on it.
Do you hate white people? Because that's what people often ask me.
I don't. I like normal people. I do not like the maggots because they're racist. Why the fuck do I have to? Why do I have to like the racist? Why? Well, why do I have to like the racist?
Why do you have to even fix your mouth to suggest that all MAGA are racist?
You walk like a fucking duck. You quack like a fucking duck. You a duck. Quack, quack. The duck. They listen to him. They believe him, and every damn thing else. They're not up there in the uproar with this with the list and every damn thing else. They're not up there looking like that.
I got folks. Todd Wilkins on YouTube. I got who the hell is this? Charlie Rock on TikTok. They're all saying I voted for Trump and I'm not racist. I mean, they're all
they have black friends, don't they, too, huh? They have black friends, don't they?
But you would acknowledge there are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump that have nothing to do with racism, though.
Yeah, what? What is so big that they had to fuck us in the ass with all this shit that they're going through, huh? What is it, Timmy? What is it, Timmy boy?
How about making sure your kids don't get fucked up the ass? They believe the LGBTQ community was spreading out too much. They don't want that shoved down the throats of their kids.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Turn your kids into a lesbian that like to eat coochie. No, bitch. I'm bisexual. I love women and men. And let me tell you something. Nobody turned me that way. I got about 5, 6 years old. I like titties, man. Okay, I said, damn, you know what I mean? I like titties. My teacher had nice titties. I'm like, yeah, that guy's nice. You know what I mean? So I knew I liked the females and I liked the dangling. You feel what I'm saying?
I mean, I hear
nobody turned me out.
I hear what you're saying, but the point is there are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump. The economy, border security, foreign affairs, the terrorists that people like.
Foreign affairs? You think he's doing good? Foreign affairs? Motherfucker, he's the laughing joke of your world, man. What the fuck? I love me some white people over there. What is that damn, what Trump went to? What is that place he went to this weekend?
Ireland? Or Scotland?
Yeah, Scotland. Those white people turned the fuck up. That's the kind of white people I like.
Well,
they turned the fuck up.
In regards to what you're talking about, we talked about it on yesterday's show. I'm going to see if I can bring this graph up because this is from yesterday. Now, I mentioned that there's reasons to vote for Trump that don't have anything to do with racism. This graph here, it's a Wall Street Journal graph, and obviously that's the company that Trump is suing currently, so they're not just conservatives. Trump outranks the liberals on tariffs, the economy, inflation, immigration, and foreign policy. He's beating the liberals on virtually everything we normally vote for, except for healthcare, which is listed here.
You know why? Because you got ignorant ass people on the right. See, the Democrats are more college educated. You know what I mean? We're more smarter than the dipshits are. You know what I mean? They failed in fucking preschool. I don't understand. Their mamas probably dropped on the head. And I'm telling you, they had like intersexist shit. You know what I mean? They don't know who their mamas are. They think they're their cousins and every damn thing else. You know what I mean? The shit is fucking sicko on the right side. That's why I never go on that right side. You feel what I'm saying? That's why they think that tariffs are fucking good.
Well,
like they're dumb as fucking hell. They're dumb as bricks.
Well, what's being said is that the tariffs are bringing in a ton of money to America.
Our fucking money, dipshit, Timmy boy, our fucking money. What the fuck? What the fuck? What are you talking about, Willis? It's our fucking money. What paying the damn tariffs?
Well, right now, I'm telling you, the price of goods and services have not went up commensurate to what the
Oh my fucking God, Tim, have you had a steak fucking lately? Are you that broke that you haven't had a steak lately? Let me tell you something. I went to the store and got me some chuck roast. It was over $10 a pound. $10. And you know how much hawktails are? What oxtails are?
Damn, those sound good. I would love that. I don't know how much they are, but they sound good.
You have a white girl, so that she can't cook like that.
I have a white girl.
You know, they can't cook right.
Oh my God.
I say you should get you a sister or something, Jimmy. Quit going up to the white side. You might be able to cook something.
Now, in the comments, Zyme, Z-Y-M-E, that's a hell of a name. Zyme says, dumbass woman can't understand that Democrats want everyone to be slaves. So apparently, folks are seeing a little bit of difference in what you're talking about here. Now,
slaves? Are you fucking serious, slaves?
This is what I'm reading.
Democrat slaves? Well, motherfuckers right now putting people in 10 concentration camps, slaves. That's not a Democrat, bitch. That's your mama doing that. You feel what I'm saying? That's your Jesus. That's your yes master, bitch. Get the fuck out of here. That's why I can't stand the right side. You see how ignorant they are? And then you over here telling me, why you can be nice? Why you be nice?
Why do you automatically assume the right is uneducated? I mean, they just have a difference of opinion.
Are you fucking serious, Tim?
Yeah.
They voted against their own fucking interest, dum-dum. Timmy, look what they did. Half the motherfuckers are on welfare, on Medicaid, okay? Half the asses on food stamps. Half the asses will work like that because they can't find jobs like that in the red states. Hello, bitch. What the fuck are you? What? Well, I'm not calling you a bitch. I'm calling them a bitch. What the fuck?
Well,
what the fuck?
Listen,
that's not educated?
I mean, you could make the same argument, like folks in California with their high taxes, they keep voting in liberals and their state is going to shit. I mean, some people vote against their own best interests.
Not going to shit. No. Our state going to shit, honey. We are the fourth world largest economy, Pookie. We supply everybody in the United States, okay? Our taxes go to all the red states, okay? Because they cannot pay for their own shit. They're broke. Okay.
You got all that. What about all that homelessness that's in your state that we're going to be dependent on?
What about homeless in every damn state? How about everybody's state? Huh?
Not like it.
Everybody has homelessness. Everybody has homelessness.
Everybody does. All that homelessness and all of those folks that are laying around the high taxes. You can barely.
A lot of them, and this ain't no lie, Tim. A lot of them come from different states to come to California. They're thinking they're going to come back up. And it's not like that. You can't come back up and you know what I mean? It's hard. And I ain't gonna say I'm not gonna say it's not expensive over here. Fuck yeah, it's expensive.
Well,
perhaps I love my state though, because at least I get to go and have an AB when I want to. I get to go and roll up when I want to.
Did you
do
say?
I want to.
Did you just say what I heard? You love California.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me repeat it for folks who didn't catch that. You love California because you get to have an AB, which is terminating the pregnancy whenever you want to.
Yeah. Which what? And what?
You love the fact that you can terminate a pregnancy whenever you want to.
Hell yeah! If I don't want the damn thing, hello, go to the clinic. I don't have to go jump through no hoops, no nothing. It's my body, my choice. And what?
If I don't want
it, I'll go get rid of it. And what?
I don't want the damn thing. You realize that's a human being, right?
No, it's a fetus. It can't, it's a fetus. It's my body, my choice. Just like your dang you go stick it in that uncooked meat. That's your body, your choice. You don't
Wait,
want
hold on. Let me make something.
You can't handle a black woman. All you want to uncooked meat. Yes, man.
Let me make something clear. For what men for what men enjoy, it all looks like uncooked meat. You look like uncooked meat on the inside too, so it doesn't matter.
I don't look like uncooked meat, honey. My shit, I'm like a Georgia peach, honey. My shit don't look like that, honey. Oh God, it don't look like that, Tim. I swear you not. I have both. And let me tell you, I never had a complaint. Now, when I seen it, I said that motherfucker dropped his pants. I said, Lord, heaven, I cannot do it. I was drunk as shit too, Tim. Well, you know, when you're drunk, you can fuck. They say you can fuck anything, not this system. No.
I've never been drunk in my life, so I can't speak on it. But it's all pink on the
I've
inside.
been drunk, honey. I ain't gonna lie. You see, I get that Hennessy. I've been faded. You feel what I'm saying? I be like cross-faded. You feel what I'm saying?
How about getting faded enough to wear this hat? Maybe that might change your life.
No, I'll be drunk as fuck. I would never touch. Boy, don't fuck with me like that. Don't fuck with me. Do not fuck with me like that. I can't be like you, bitch. I cannot. I'm not like you, Pookie. I can't sit on a show and talk to them like you do, and not like we'll go and tear their fucking necks off because they're putting us through fucking hell. They don't like us, Timmy. You know what? Your friend, like on right before, said, "I'll go help you." Yeah, with the rope. You know, he don't like you. They don't.
Why would you think something like that?
Because they don't like us. They don't like black and brown folks. What the fuck are you talking about? They want us to be cleansed off this damn United States. So why do you think they're going after the Hispanics right now?
You believe that MAGA wants to take the lives of people of color?
Shit, no, I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah, I would not put it past them. And let me tell you something. Oh, I can't say the full name. Okay, I cannot say the full name. But you know the F. The one that comes across the border and shit. It's not the Mexicans that are bringing it through. It's the white people and all of us that bring it out. Not me personally. But, you know, the Americans are bringing it through. Yeah. It's not them. It's the Americans. There's like, you know, people on here that are strung out and shit. God knows why they be strung out and shit. I like my ganja. That's all I do. I mean, I don't understand how they can pop those damn things. You know what I mean? You be fucking around dying on people.
I'm permanently sober. I've never tried anything. I've never even had a damn wine cooler, so I can't speak on it.
You know what? You should roll one up, Pookie. Maybe you will see the light if you roll one up. So
are you suggesting that if I roll one up and try marijuana for the first time, I'll start talking to my callers like you?
Shit. No, not technically. You can't be. You don't have the balls enough to be me.
Oh, now I'm missing testicles, huh? Oh my God.
Yeah, because you're not me though. Poor child. I'm telling you, Timmy, you're not me. You don't have the balls like me. Okay, I don't even have balls.
Well,
I don't take that.
You do come from the side that has a hard time describing what a woman is. So you're a female with testicles.
I know what a fucking woman is. I just don't worry about trans women. Okay, we're the blueprint. Why the fuck do I gotta justify being a fucking woman? There's trans women that just want to be fucking left alone. I thought I'm hearing a woman talking about she has testicles. You're confusing me. I have pretend testicles. I have more masculine than half the motherfuckers and the men, because the men be bowed down to this bitch. Trumpy. I have it like that. I would go head to head with the maggots. You do not go head to head with the maggots. You say, okay, yes, let me do this. I sent you a live today, but I was strolling at TikTok streets, and I be seeing you on that. What's his name? American.
LJ.
American. What's his name?
Lumberjack.
Huh? Yeah, I can't stand that. Oh man, he will not let me on. I will cut his balls off and shove him in his own throat.
I gotta move it on. You are violent as hell. You can't be talking about the white man talking like that. I gotta move it on, gangster.
Don't be quiet. You need to stop, Tim. And let me tell you something. Can you at least push back a little bit? Put me as a co-host. So when you don't push back, I can push back. And I have the motherfuckers in tears. And then we're gonna see white tears on your thing. I promise you. Because I will give them the same fucking energy, and I'll give them facts. Because you know what the facts are, Tim. You're not stupid. Quit acting like you're special. You know what we're saying is legit. They're the stupid ones. Like I said, they vote against their own interests.
I'll leave it at that. Gangsta Grandma, thank you for coming through. All right, moving on with the program. When I say we don't block, ban, or censor, she always makes the perfect example of that. But we do believe, we go left of Bernie Sanders, so I'm having dinner with Q. So we do occasionally get MAGA that tears into the host the same way. And we push back in ways that we can, but it is what it is. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 60,000. If you enjoy civilized, uncensored dialogue from all sides of the aisle, you're in the right place. Feel free to follow the program if you're watching on Instagram or TikTok. Give your boy a subscription if you're watching on YouTube. We're currently on all programs live. Real quick in the comments, it's always my folks on my left, because I got 4 cameras watching me. We're 4 or 5 cameras generally, Instagram, Clapper, YouTube, TikTok. So we're on a lot of platforms. And I'm looking in different directions because the comments are scrolling on the screens all over the damn place. So in effort to keep up with this, you'll notice my eyes going out. You'll be amazed at how many comments say, your eyes are, he's going blind. He's cross-eyed. Look, there's a lot going here. Some folks tend to believe that you're ignoring their comments. Look, let me just make it clear to you folks. Everybody's comment is essentially, as far as I'm being viewed, it's just white lettering. Now, for some of you folks that are kind enough to issue a super chat or a donation, it changes the screen colors. I read 100% of those, but the rest of your comments, people in the comments telling me I'm ignoring them and I'm scared of them. No, your shit just looks like everybody else and I don't see it. It just scrolls on by. I'm literally looking right now at easily 70 comments and they're moving. They're all moving. So nobody's ignoring your comment. They just all look the same. Big dog, yeah! Appreciate the hat mustache. Thank you very much. I'm from Qatar, says Hassan's family. Wow. You guys are missing a Jedi here. You folks in Qatar. Apparently one of your best, most luxurious jets has come up missing. Somebody apparently is painting the stars and stripes on the side of it. And looking in the comments, Jake says, I know you've seen mine. What are you wearing, Jake? Khakis? Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 60,000. We'll go to the box, continuing on with the program. None other than MAGA Reacts. Good evening, MAGA. Why is it appearing that Trump is changing his stance of how when Trump was elected, his stance on Zelensky, his stance on Putin, his stance on Netanyahu, they all seem to be changing. Why is that?
They're not changing. I don't know why you see everything in like black and white. Is that like the situation? Like all the things he's commenting on are not black and white. And sometimes what he's talking about, leans toward black, sometimes it leans toward white. It's just, there's a multi-spectrum.
So you believe his stance on Netanyahu is the same as it was when he took office? It didn't change at all?
Yeah. It's the same. He's always been supportive of Israel, but unlike Biden, he could actually call him out every now and then.
Okay, so when you hear... now we've played this before, but I just want you to hear a few seconds of it because I want to make sure we get clarity on your statement.
To be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling.
Now, you believe that he still feels that way about Zelensky?
What do you mean? Yeah. I mean, you're looking at that as he's on Putin's side, and now you're looking at it as he's on Zelensky's side. He's in the middle trying to end the war and trying to, negotiate between the two.
He didn't talk. Wait. He never talked to Putin in this manner. He's met with Putin. He's had a number of phone calls with Putin. There's no conversation with Putin like this. You're making it sound like he's in the middle. His stance was against Zelensky and favorable to Putin. I don't understand what you're talking about.
It's just normal negotiations, man. You don't understand it. That's why you're on the left and I'm on the right. It's just normal business negotiations.
So you think what's happening here with Zelensky is
talking like that to Zelensky, not because he's like mad at Zelensky. He's just giving him some hard truth to help himself, to get him to make the right decision to end the war and not be
MAGA.
so eager.
MAGA, you do realize when Trump became president, he took everything we were giving to the Ukrainians away. Weapons, intelligence. You call that making a business deal?
Why do you... No, he didn't. Listen, he didn't take everything away.
Yeah, he did.
He would have.
Yeah, he did.
Why didn't they lose? Why hasn't Russia won?
Because Biden gave them enough to keep fighting. And other nations have stepped up and started helping them out.
Well, then good. As long as... Listen, the important part is this war ends. And you have to be in the middle for it to go.
I'm not... How can you stop helping me completely and call yourself in the middle?
I don't think he ever stopped helping him completely. Especially, like, you guys rephrase everything. Like, even with Biden, we weren't constantly sending him weapons. We'd send them weapons, we'd wait till the weapons run out, and we'll send them more. Biden just sent them weapons right before the end, so Trump had some time before he needed to send them more weapons. And he was hoping to end the war, and he wouldn't need to send them weapons.
I believe.
Failed, so he sent them weapons.
Yeah, I believe that Trump is on video stating that he's going to start sending the Ukraine weapons again, effectively admitting that there was a pause and he stopped helping them out. Where are you getting? So you believe that Trump has been sending the Ukrainians weapons the whole time?
No, they didn't need any. They didn't need anything yet. They haven't ran out of the first set of weapons we gave them.
So Zelensky's been all over national TV begging for assistance, and you're saying he didn't need it. You haven't heard him begging for more weapons?
You have to beg before you run out. You have to start ordering the new shit before the old shit runs out. And as far as I know, they haven't ran out of anything.
How do you know that? How do you know they didn't run out?
Because they haven't lost. Russia hasn't rolled over them like they were, farm animals. Like they're still fighting.
Well, they're still fighting for two reasons. One, I stated, other nations stepped up and started helping them out. Two, they started using their own resources because the drones they're using on Russia are not very expensive. They started getting really good at making these anti-personnel drones because their country is being occupied by Russians. So it doesn't take a whole lot to take a lot of these folks out. Just a cheap drone flying overhead with a grenade or some kind of suicide device. So they haven't lost yet because they've been fighting. But the idea that we didn't stop helping them, I don't understand where you're getting that from.
Except for cutting off intelligence twice, but we always turned it back on once Zelensky played ball. We stopped helping them for maybe a day or two. But for the most part, they've had our intelligence support. They've had our logistical support. I don't think we really stopped helping them. If we would have really stopped helping them, they would have lost already.
We were not helping them.
Europe step up was a election promise. So that was part of the Trump getting elected thing, getting Europe to step up and also support Ukraine.
Yeah, that makes no sense. We were not helping them at the time this video was filmed. And it was longer than a day. That's the reason Ukraine came over here to the White House, is to ask for weapons. That's the reason that Trump met with him at the funeral of the Pope, is to ask for weapons. That went on way longer than a day. What are you talking about? He met with...
As far as I know, when it comes to actual, helping them, the only thing we did was we turned off intelligence for, a day because Zelensky was giving us issues with something. And once he fucking corrected things, they turned it back on.
Yeah.
And as far as the weapons, he has all the weapons he needs, and now that he needs more, he's getting it. So I don't think they were out of bullets. So
I'm just gonna tell you,
that's also part of the plan. I don't know, where we're. I don't know.
I don't even think most MAGA agree with you. I think it was fairly common knowledge that when Trump got in office, we started cutting back, if not eliminating, all the assistance we were giving to Ukraine. It's a night and day difference between what Biden was doing for the Ukraine and Trump. It's like night and day, and you're making it sound like, well, we were still helping them. That's just flat out false.
This is a trick Democrats play all the time. They tell you if you're not increasing the help, you're cutting it off. So if you don't increase money to Medicaid, you're actually cutting it. Even though the money in Medicaid is the same year to year, If you don't increase it, you're cutting it. So if you're not increasing the weapons you're sending to Ukraine, you're actually cutting it. And that's how they justify saying that shit. But I doubt we ever fucking cut weapons.
You do realize Trump ran on America first. We're going to stop sending money to the Ukraine and stop sending money to these overseas countries. He literally ran on that. So what are you saying? He lied and he kept doing it anyway?
No, he can't have Ukraine lose either. He ran on ending the war. He never said he was going to take side or be pro-Ukraine or pro-Russia. He said he's going to end the war. Same with Gaza and Israel.
So he
had to take more of an active role than he wanted, but...
So he ran on ending the war. He became president, and he only continued helping out one side, because we weren't giving weapons to Russia. So according to you, we continue sending weapons to the Ukraine. And that's how he was going to end war, by essentially doing the same thing Biden did. Is that what you're telling me?
No, unlike Biden, he was actually having peace talks. He was actually reaching out to Putin. I name one time that fucking Biden or Harris or anybody called Putin to try to end this war. All they say is it was futile.
I'm not aware. I was going to say, I'm not aware that Biden or Kamala Harris ever reached out to Putin, as you're pointing out, but I want you to hear this.
I would have said 5 times we would have had a deal. I've spoken to President Putin a lot, and then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev and kills a lot of people in a nursing home or whatever. You have bodies lying all over the street. I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him. So we're going to have to look, and I'm going to reduce that 50 days that I gave him to a lesser number, because I think I already know the answer what's going to happen. I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. We just don't see any progress being made.
The reason that Kamala Harris and Biden didn't reach out to Putin, because they don't be on TV sounding like this idiot 7 months later. That was 7 wasted months of reaching out to this guy, accomplishing absolutely nothing. And how many people died while he was reaching out to this guy that he is now admitting the whole time the guy was still bombing and killing people?
We don't know many more people died than they would have normally died. 2, I mean, you're never an idiot if you're pursuing peace. You know what? Like, I'd rather he pursued peace and failed than never pursue it in the first place. It's fucking sad if you just want war and you don't even try for fucking peace. That's, he gets points for trying for peace. I know you keep saying no participation.
That is a definition of a participation trophy. That really is. He gets credit for trying to get peace. You wouldn't give credit to Biden for trying to be peaceful. You would blame Biden for being an inept, weak leader that wasn't able to accomplish his goal. That's what Trump is dealing with here. But in his case, he gets ever for trying. If Biden tried and failed, we would be calling him a weak inept leader.
Trying because the other guy didn't even try. Biden didn't even try. If Biden would have tried, and then Trump wouldn't have done any effort for trying.
If Biden had reached out to Putin, tried to maintain some level of peace and failed, MAGA would be saying that shows you Putin is laughing at the United States and laughing at Biden while he's killing Ukrainians. They would have been referring to him as an inept, weak leader that failed at doing that. That's what they wouldn't be giving him credit for trying.
Guess what? He did the same thing with Biden. He did the same thing with Iran. You guys were laughing at him when he said, "Oh, now let's have peace with Iran," and you guys laughed like, "I can't believe he wants peace after he bombed them." And what? 3 days later, we got peace. If the Iran thing happened under Biden, it would still be fighting Iran.
No.
But because it happened under Trump, it only lasted 12 days.
No, Trump didn't get peace with Iran. Trump bullied them into shutting the fuck up. I mean, if Iran was in position to fight back, they would have fought back. They didn't stop fighting because Trump negotiated some kind of peace deal the day after bombing their parts of their infrastructure. They didn't fight back because they thought it would be useless. It's like you going and hitting a toddler in the face and saying, well, we got peace because he didn't fight back. I mean, they don't have the ability to fight back. How can we suggest that a country that's yelling death to America, we claiming that they're saying that all the damn time, but we can bomb them into peace? And that makes sense.
I mean, you see Ukraine fighting back. Why can't Iran do the same thing?
Because Ukraine has people, the Ukrainians have people assisting them. They don't have the two biggest juggernauts on the planet attacking them simultaneously. My guess is if you had China and Russia attacking the Ukrainians simultaneously, they would probably surrender. I mean, the United States and Israel together?
I don't have a time machine. I can't prove what ifs. I can only prove what I've seen with my own eyes. And the fact is, you know, a war like that ended in 11 days, which all of you guys, all you Dems, Michael, all of them was crying, oh, go buy oil before the oil prices go up. You know, what the fuck happened to the oil prices? They went down. You know, how many Democrats were crying, oh, we gotta go get oil prices are gonna skyrocket? Never happened.
It's funny you suggest that the war ended in 11 days because when that was happening, MAGA was adamant there is no war taking place. Now all of a sudden it stopped. Well, you know that the war only took 11 days. Everybody was denying a war was happening at all. Now all of a sudden, well, he ended it in 11 days. Hurrah, hurrah! So it was a war. Trump did start a war.
There was an Israel-Iran war. There was no USA-Iran war.
Okay.
That is the nuance of it. It's
So-
not black and white. It's multicolor.
So Israel and Iran were at war for 11 days, and the United States was not involved in it.
No, we were involved, but we weren't at war.
What is your definition of a war?
What's up?
What is your definition of a war?
A prolonged conflict, more than one strike. You know, an actual fight that lasts more than one strike. That's all we did.
So all of us. So because Bin Laden only hit us on September 11th, that was not an act of war. It was only one day.
Oh, it was an act of war, but it wasn't war. It was an act of terrorism.
Okay, you're playing semantics with words. What is the difference between an act of war and an actual war?
An act of war starts a war. An actual war is the actual constant fights of a war, of a long battle.
So an active war starts a war. So in other words, what the United States did was starting a war with Iran.
It could have started a war. Yes, 1,000%. That's why I was against it, and I was mad at him. I'm still mad at him for doing it. Just because it worked out in his favor doesn't mean I wasn't mad at him for doing it. I also gave him points for ending it in like 11, 12 days, whatever it was.
Why is this so hard to get you to admit the truth? So now you're admitting that what the United States did to Iran was an act of war, which, as you say, starts a war. So the United States did go to war with Iran.
They committed an act of war, but it didn't start a war. Okay? Again, you want everything to be black and white and to be like fucking so clear, but everything's life is more complicated than that.
I have never heard somebody say.
Simple. And you guys you guys pretend like everything's simple to use it against Trump, and I'm like, and then when it's the other side, you complicate things, like the border not being closed or the border not being open under Biden. It's like, oh no, the border was closed.
I think you're on the side of this by yourself. Everybody in the comments can clearly see you're playing pretzel with Spin Master with this stuff. I mean, you're saying that because Trump promised no new wars. Now all of a sudden he bombs Iran, and to prevent from saying that this guy backtracked on his promise and started a war. No, it wasn't. He didn't start a war. It's an active war. And the only reason it did get worse is because Iran didn't respond to it. But Trump did take us to war. Period. You're admitting it's an active war which starts a war.
You don't think if Trump was like, we're going to kill all these people, we're just, we're going to keep bombing them, you don't think if Trump, you think Iran would have been like, let's have peace if Trump didn't at least ask for it? Like, I know the ball was on Iran's side, but Trump still had to request peace for them to actually be like, all right.
It has nothing to do with peace. Robert Kennedy on YouTube makes the perfect response. 3 words. Iran can't respond. After Israel has softened up all their air defenses and shit like that, the last thing they can do is respond to a bombing by the United States thousands of miles away. It wasn't that Iran didn't see it or took it in all these other directions you're talking about. They don't have the ability to respond. They can't respond. That's why I used the toddler example. You don't punch the toddler in. Well, if it was a fight, he would get up and fight me back. He can't. You don't knock him out. I mean, Iran cannot respond.
There's another toddler named Gaza that's, that you never know. If Trump was around when it started, he might have been able to end it quickly. You know, Gaza's another toddler. You're not, and that conflict's still going until today.
Gaza is definitely.
Why didn't that end in 11 days?
Gaza, because Israel is just trying to eliminate the people there. When is the last time you heard of an Israeli getting killed? They're supposedly at war with Hamas. When is the last time you heard of any Israelis dying in this? It is 100% one-sided. That's not a war. It's just a slaughter at this point.
Listen, Israeli lost me a while ago. Like, again, I started out pro-Israel. I'm friends with a bunch of Israelis. I work today with Israelis. I have best friends, both Palestinian and Israelis. Like, I don't like this conflict whatsoever, but Israel has pretty much lost me because, you know, they keep killing these people. They're, you know, like you said, they're a toddler and they're still killing them. And I'm like, just fucking give them their food and let them lick their wounds at least. You know? Well,
perhaps I got to move it on, but perhaps it's what Trump said, is that the end goal is to take their land and kick them off of it. That might be the end goal because, he's
I'm starting to believe that.
Huh?
I'm starting to believe that.
Yeah,
I'm starting to believe that. Like, they're not proving you otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, because we're well beyond the Israelis claiming that they're doing anything in self-defense. At this point, the only thing they're trying to use to defend themselves is we still want the hostages back, which are, considering the amount of starvation that's going on in that area, all of the hostages are long dead. So you're bombing all these people because you want remains back? You want the remains of a few people back, so you're just going to keep killing people to get remains. I mean, at this point, it's impossible to defend Israel at this point. They're just murdering people.
And I stopped defending them a while ago. I called one of my Israeli friends, like, what the fuck are you guys thinking? Like, you know?
They're thinking revenge. They're trying to get revenge for Buchenwald, sounds like. I got to move it on, MAGA. Thanks for coming through.
One last thing.
Real quick.
The way you cut me off yesterday, that was straight up censorship, by the way. I didn't even get to talk about how...
You make it hard. For you to say that Trump says things and you got to listen to him 10 times before you believe him, you actually said that if Trump threatens to bomb a country...
Trump says a lot of shit.
You actually said that if Trump threatens to bomb a country, they need to hear him say it 10 more times before they start preparing for the bombing. Wasn't nothing else I could do with the conversation after that. There was nothing else I could do.
One thing once, and you guys take it as Bible, like the God said it, which is crazy to me.
Okay, well, I go back to my original statement. You're the leader of the free world. You're the leader of the free world. Hold on. You're the leader of the free world. What you say, people are going to listen to. They're not going to wait till you repeat it over and over and over again before they see validity to it. That's crazy. That's what you were saying yesterday.
But he says so much, you really can't take it all so serious.
You're the leader of the free world. You're the leader of the free world. People are not people. If you say you're gonna do something today, people gonna take that seriously today. Everybody don't have the ability to listen to him over and over again. Everybody don't have the internet and shit like that. If you're sitting in the middle of Ghana and you happen to see him at an internet cafe saying some dumb shit, you may not have 9 more times to see him. So the idea that people are gonna keep hearing him is crazy.
He's been saying dumb shit for 10 years, and
you elected him. And you elected him. I gotta go.
Because he does more good.
All right.
And again,
I gotta go. He just said the man has been saying dumb shit for 10 years. If that's the case, MAGA, why not Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis or Tim Scott or Vivek Ramaswamy was saying the same stuff Trump did? Then why not vote somebody else in? I'm not saying you got to go liberal, but if you're saying that this guy's been saying dumb shit, as he put it, for the last 10 years, you could have got many of the same policies out of some of those other guys. How do you know he does a better job? You didn't elect any of them. How do you know he would do a better job than Vivek Ramaswamy? You didn't give Vivek a chance. Vivek Ramaswamy was really offering no difference in policies. Remember Kamala Harris? She goes on The View and says, I wouldn't do anything different than Joe Biden, which hurt her. Some cite as the reason why she lost. Vivek was doing the same thing for Trump. He wasn't promising to do anything different. They had a couple debates, like 9 of them was running, and not one criticism of Trump came from Vivek. He was going to give you the same shit. So why not Vivek then? He doesn't say He says dumb shit on. You literally said he's been saying dumb shit for 10 years. Wow. Okay. And now my last caller is in the comments saying Vivek is too young. But so you vote for a guy who's 79. Is there nowhere in the middle? Vivek Ramaswamy is too young. So you're voting for a guy with swollen ankles and having to put makeup on his hand to hide the spots. No middle ground? Really? Let me continue on with the program. Jesus. Tap the screen. Get us on up to 70 in the likes. Show your boys some love. Follow the program if you happen to be watching TikTok, Instagram. If you're on YouTube, give your boy a solid. Feel free to smash that sub button and smash the like button as well. Big reason why she lost is 118 over. Well, Kamala likely lost for a lot of reasons. In addition to that one, that is certainly getting up there when Biden is not popular, when the Democrats are polling. Their polling numbers are in the tank and saying I wouldn't do anything different than Biden. I don't know who schooled Kamala Harris on how to speak in the media, but to say something like that is insane. Look, even if a president is doing a good job, following up by saying I wouldn't do anything different is a terrible answer because any politician is going to be doing something wrong. MAGA believes Trump is doing a good job. So if you're on a right-wing program, do you get up there and say, I wouldn't do anything different from Trump at all? Of course not. Because MAGA believes Trump is doing some things wrong too. There's plenty of MAGA that does not like the blind following of Israel, for instance. Some folks not like what's going on with the Epstein list. I mean, never answer a question by saying I would not do anything different at all. So I don't know who schooled Kamala on that, but she certainly was not ready for that. India and China have skirmishes all the time. In fact, some people have been shot over it because of the borders that they share. Is that considered war? Only Congress can declare war. No, this is a little bit different than that, JC. You're saying that India and China have skirmishes all the time. When you literally plan a mission to fly over a country with bombers in the middle of the night and take out, that's, yeah. Look, you got North Korea and South Korea right across the 38th parallel or something like that. There might be somebody taking a pot shot here or there. That's happened across the U.S. border with some of the cartel members and some of the border rallies firing across the border. That's totally different than flying bombers deep inside somebody's airspace and destroying whole facilities in there, trying to take out the infrastructure and shit like that. Big difference between that. Not only that, but we know for a fact that that Israel and Iran were at war for a number of days. They were at war, actively lobbing missiles and ordnance at each other. Israel was doing airstrikes on Iran. Iran was launching missiles at Israel. They're actively at war. And the United States was shooting down the Iranian missiles that were firing back at Israel. That is a war, plain and simple. There is no way in hell that if we were dealing with Iraq, the fight we had in Vietnam years ago, or any of our other conflicts, and some third party was shooting down our weapons while the other country was shooting us, we would view that as war. There's no other way we would call that. What we were doing to the Iranians was an act of war. The only saving face or saving grace, as my last caller tried to suggest, is, well, it's not war because Iran didn't fight back. Okay, then blame that on the Iranians, but America was doing everything it takes to start a war with Iran. They just didn't declare it back on us because they couldn't respond. There's no way in hell we would let anybody do any of the shit we was doing to Iran without us declaring war on them. No one. So the idea that it was not a war is bullshit. We would be eager. You'd have the military swelling up with enlistees if somebody did to us what we were doing to Iran. People would be joining them. Some country fly over to America and start striking nuclear facilities deep within the heart of America and claiming that it's not an act of war. We didn't start war with the United States. Look, you can't pass over piss as rain. That makes no sense. Anyway, looking in the comments, okay, timeline. Bondi, we have, you guys are still knocking those Epstein files. I see in the comments, look, the Epstein files are not going to go away. Fact is, I'm willing to talk about the Epstein files on future shows, buddy. We can't talk about the Epstein files every fucking night. Trump is trying his best to keep that shit under wraps. We get it. He's not doing what many thought he campaigned on. We get it. He doesn't want the information contained in the Epstein files to be public. We get it. But every show can't consist of Epstein. It just can't. Unless there's new information coming out. It all can't consist of Epstein. I'm not saying we should stop talking about it. I get the value in talking about it. But we gotta talk about other issues that are going on in the country as well. Thoughts on the MLK files? I don't know. I know the family didn't want the MLK files to come out. I don't know what good it'll do. I think everybody's opinion on the MLK files is already solidified. I think most Americans, certainly African Americans, do not believe the guy that they threw in prison for killing Martin Luther King is the guy that did it, or is the only guy behind it. I think most Americans that are of color, and probably a hell of a lot of white Americans too, believe that the government had something to do with that. We know that the FBI was trying to badmouth this guy and dirty him up at every turn, and all of a sudden he turns up dead. My guess is you don't even need to get the files. All of the players are likely dead anyway. But if I had to guess, the U.S. government took part in killing MLK. I'll just leave it at that. If I had to guess, they either did it, hired the person that did, trained the person that did, or done something to protect the person that did. But I agree with, I think it says Moonchild in the comments. It's a distraction. Most of America don't care about that. That's way down on the list. They want the Epstein files. And I've often used the example of a fighter jet containing Trump and Epstein being shot at, and they're dumping flares to deflect the missiles. Everything from Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship to Alligator Alcatraz, stories out of that. They're talking about the MLK files, just constantly dumping shit in hopes that the missile will track that instead of the Epstein jet. They don't want that to come out. I mean, I think that's pretty apparent. Will they be successful? Probably not. People are going to keep knocking that. And now, obviously, the liberals have jumped on board as well because they see blood in the water. But it's pretty clear that Trump does not want the Epstein stuff to come to light. And the information he's given on it has been so inconsistent, it's hard to see it any other way. Hanson, the government wanted MLK gone. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, because he was creating a mess. I mean, yeah, of course they wanted him gone. That's why I said I believe the government took part in the demise of MLK. And I don't think we'll ever know the total outcome of that. But I think Trump would much rather, I think Trump would be okay with you knowing the government had something to do with the death of MLK than knowing what happened with Epstein. Because that ain't got nothing to do with it. He's 100% sure that ain't got shit to do with him. The Epstein stuff may actually implicate him. So if I got to rat out everybody that was, acting up during the civil rights era, I don't mind doing that if it'll take the heat off me. What's the money line on Tim giving us an Irish goodbye? What is an Irish goodbye? Alter ego. What is an Irish? I would like to know that. What is an Irish goodbye? Also, it's a pot shot when other countries do it, but when we do it, it's a war. It's called precision strikes. No. I've never seen a country go over and bomb somebody's nuclear facility and call it a pot shot. It's a war. I mean, the Israelis, rather. They've done that to Iran. They've done it to Syria. The Israelis have. All of those are called a war. Israel is known for doing that shit. The idea that we could fly over, 1,000 miles deep within the airspace of another country and bomb specific facilities and somehow try to say it's not an act of war. If Biden did this shit, it would be an act of war. Period. I mean, look, if you favor Trump, I get it. But when you start trying to defend him in ways that are not even logical or reasonable, it's hard to really have a conversation. If Biden did what Trump did, Trump himself would be calling Biden a warmonger. Trump himself would be calling that an act of war. I just don't understand how, in defense of Trump, we're trying to actually change what the definition of an act of war is. And then my last caller said, no, it's not act of war. It's not war. It's an act of war. Okay. All right. People need to know there are no sides other than rich versus poor, Democrat, Republican, same bird. I don't think that's true. Democrats and Republicans, I mean, there's a lot of other issues that have nothing to do with wealth. The Democrats and the Republicans are not on the same side when it comes to abortion, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to social programs. They're not of the same bird. Them programs, them things that I just mentioned, the outcome is vastly different depending on which side you vote in. So I don't buy that Democrats and Republicans are of the same bird. A lot of issues that affect you specifically can change vastly depending on if you vote in school lunch programs. One side wants kids in school to have free lunch. The other side is saying, no, it should be on the parents. Universal health care, all of that shit. That's Republican versus Democrat. Ain't got nothing to do with rich versus poor. That's Republican and Democrat. So they're not the same bird. I don't buy that. A whole bunch of things that change drastically simply voting Republican versus Democrat. Even the way we deal with crime in this country, how serious we are, how sympathetic we are if somebody committed crime, and the whole notion of, everybody deserves a second chance, that changes dramatically from Democrat to liberal. So they're not of the same bird. Democrats used to be for the working man. I still think the Democrats are more. I understand the power of capitalism, but I still believe the Democrats are more for the working man, and I believe the Republican Party is more for the employer. Once I believe the Democrats are more for the employees, the Republican side is more for the employers. Because you hear the Democrats often talking about unions and increasing minimum wage and the stuff that is for the employee. You hear the Republicans talking about small businesses can't afford to increase the minimum wage, and small business can't afford to give you health care, and what you're doing is going to hurt small business. They're for the employers. The Democrats are for the employees. Anything the Democrats ask for, the Republicans say it's going to hurt the employer. That's who they're defending. And the Democrats are always talking about the employees. So no, I think the Democrats are still more favorable to the working man. Are they perfect? No. But you don't hear the Democrats talking about busting unions. I mean, the unions are solely for the working man. They're not for the employer. That's something the Democrats. Minimum wage is something the employer is going to have to pay. Something that would benefit the employee. Who's on which side of the minimum wage argument? Same thing with universal health care and all that stuff. So I absolutely think that the Democrats are more for the employee. Continuing on in the comments, I will continue on real quick here. Asking, why is Trump changing his stance so greatly on world leaders? Yee.
Hey, Tim.
Good
How
evening.
are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. What am I getting wrong?
All right. So, first of all, I wanted to ask you two questions.
Sure.
First of all, do you bring certain people up because it makes the live a little bit more entertaining?
I want to deliver an entertaining program, but I do want to speak to as many MAGA as possible. I don't get them as much, so I often give MAGA a little bit more priority. I just don't get my hands on as many of them because right now Trump is president. There's more criticism of Trump, so MAGA runs away from the program. Criticizing Biden or the liberals, MAGA comes to the program. So I will give MAGA a little bit more preference.
No. And the reason why I say that, right, is because, listen, Tim, and I say this because, you know what?
Sure.
I care about you. I care about this show.
Okay.
Why do you allow people to talk to you that way? Wait, I'm talking about, and I have no problem saying who it is, Gangsta Granny.
How can I tell you?
Like that,
I was in the, let me tell you something. It's a funny story. I was in the gas station the other day, and I stopped in for coffee during the morning and, and all that while I'm doing my day job. The cashier's talking to me about Gangsta Grandma. I saw you last. It's amazing. I hear stories about Gangsta Grandma everywhere. Look, I bring her on because I do believe in an Uncensored program. I do have a few subscribers. She is one of my subscribers. I want to make sure I acknowledge them. And I want to show that we don't block, ban, or censor. If I got right wingers that are as equally as passionate as her and critical as her, Twisted 77 and MAGA Reacts and Jeremy, some of them, I bring them up too.
And you know what? I just want to say, my guy, listen. As a Hispanic, I voted for Trump 100%. And there are reasons.
What is your Hispanic? What is the nation of origin? Your ancestry?
Yes. So I'm Cuban and I'm Ecuadorian.
Do you agree with them getting rid of TPS status for Cubans?
That's a tough one. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how I feel about it because I'm not so educated on it.
You know what it is, don't you?
Members would be.
You know what TPS status is, right?
Correct. Yeah. So TPS status is basically the rights from when Fidel Castro and all them took over Cuba, and basically they came back to this place. I'm sorry, not this place, to the United States, in Mariel, basically.
Well,
so that's where I know
after what Castro's did to the citizens over there, the America made it so that if you can reach the U.S., you can stay here. We understand by nature of who your leaders are that your country's fucked up. So if you can find a way to get here, we'll let you stay. Now Trump has removed that provision for them, which is called temporary protected status, TPS. Now, you said you're kind of up in the air about that. What? So that means you're kind of leaning on the fence about it?
So I'm going to tell you this much, right? I believe, I don't care what country you're from, right? Mm-hmm. If you do not have proper status in this country, you need to wait in line, and you need to come into this country legally. I don't care where you're from.
Now, you know, being of Cuban descent, how awful they were or they are to the Cuban people. There's no ability to wait in line when you're in Cuba. What are you talking about?
100. So 100%. Look, I will say this much, right? This is why I have mixed views. But at the same time, I really think that there should be a faster way of getting payment. Do you know, like...
how much faster is TPS? Just come here and you can stay.
I'm not just talking about Cuba. I'm talking about for every country, right?
No, but let's stick to the country that you're from. Let's first go with Cuba. You can talk about other countries.
I'm from the United States. I was born in the United States, but my ancestry is from these countries, correct?
So without TPS, you would be born in Cuba.
Correct.
And you're on the fence whether or not he should have removed. So part of you says it was a good thing to remove TPS.
Yes, because I want the protection for my nation. Right? I want my kids, my future kids, to be able to be safe.
Do you have any family that's still in Cuba?
I have a couple of uncles, and I have an aunt. Like, I'm not close to them, but
so if one of them was trying to flee, and they show up at Key West on some type of a raft or something, you would tell them to turn around and go back?
100%.
Damn, that's cold.
I'm gonna be real.
Cold.
I'm gonna be real. I would want them to follow the laws.
Wow. Okay. All right. Go Trump. Damn. Okay. So
but you know what? But hold on. One other thing that I wanted to say, right? And then we'll go back to this. Sorry, I wanted to say this before.
Hold on. Let me.
I forget what it said. But
go ahead and say. Let me put on my socks because you making my feet cold. You freezing me. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you.
So before anyone goes and calls Trump racist, I want them to define the word racist. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. Well,
because if they're gonna call him Orange Man or the Orange Cheeto, that is talking about someone's race. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, well, according to the Google, racist is, I typed in the word racist, characterized by or showing prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. There's a whole lot of argument to be made that Trump has done all of that.
Can you give me an example?
Shithole cities. He's kicking out brown people, but some kind of way he found a way to let in some South Afrikaners that were white. Small number of them, but for some reason he let them in, and he's going to send the Haitians back to a war-torn country. But for some reason, just losing property in South Africa was enough to come to the United States. I mean,
I don't agree with that.
Huh?
I don't agree with that.
I'm just letting you know it's following this definition you're talking about.
So, okay, if you look at the word racist, right? It's basically due to someone's race, someone's ethnicity. Okay. So, like, let's just say, for example, right? If I were to go to someone and say, "Hey, listen, I don't like you because you're purple, black, white, brown, red, orange."
Which
matter,
racists?
Right?
And by the way, racists never do that. But keep going.
But what I'm saying though is, if you look at Trump's history, right? Let's look at Trump's history. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what he did for? Do you remember what he did for Hudson?
For who?
When her family was going through the shit that she went through.
Okay.
With losing her family, what did Trump do? Trump went and paid for the whole freaking funeral service of Hudson.
Okay.
Okay.
So he did a good deed, but that doesn't exclude him from being racist. There were a whole bunch of people that let Negroes stay in the houses during slavery. That doesn't mean that they weren't racist.
My point is with this, okay, so do you think, let's just look at a genius, right?
Okay.
Ben Carson. Ben Carson is a surgeon. The guy's genius.
Okay.
Do you really think if Ben Carson, the way he is, do you think he would really support Trump if he was racist? Let's be honest.
Yeah. I think that I think there were blacks that fought on the side of the Confederates during the Civil War. I think that if a person thinks that they can benefit from something, they're willing to support the other side. You've had Americans go to the Middle East and fight on behalf of ISIS. I think Obama droned one of them. Some people fight for what we would perceive as against their best interests. It's happened in every war. There were Americans that fought on behalf of the Germans in World War II. It happens every war. So yeah, people do that sometimes.
I don't know. I sense something different about Trump.
Well,
he tells it like it is. That's just personally my intuition. So what I feel is why I voted for him. Mm-hmm. The fact that I just think that he is. Can he tone down a little bit? Yes, 100%. And I would love for him to. But what I will say, though, right, is what I do like about him is that he will speak his mind. He will say what's wrong and what's right. Now, does that mean I agree with everything that he says? No, I don't. And get this, I'm an independent, Tim.
Okay.
I'm an independent. You know what? There's one guy that I actually do like.
Which is?
The Democratic side. Wes Moore, the governor from Maryland.
Okay.
I like him. He has a lot of potential. And if he ran over a Republican that I did not like, I'd vote for him hands down.
I mean, look, I can see maybe some Democrats being favorable to some folks on the right, but in regards to President Trump, like I was saying, I mean, the guy runs his mouth, and there are consequences to doing that. Trump says a lot of bad things about people. That's just like Trump said, he hates Democrats because they all hate America. Okay, you believe all Democrats hate America, but it's wrong for them to say you're racist? I mean, if you're going to throw around generalizations, you got to expect that sometime they may come back at you.
I don't think Democrats hate America. At least not all of them.
Well, Go ahead.
I mean, there's some I'm convinced that do, right?
What is your definition of hating America? How do you know when somebody hates America?
Wanting what's bad for America to happen.
What do you mean by bad for America?
So, an example, okay? Here's an example of that. Omar.
Ilhan Omar, yeah.
Yes, she is someone who is bad for America. She is someone who I am convinced hates America because of some of the stuff that she has said. Some of the comments that she has said is very impeachable.
Give me an example of something she said that makes you believe she hates America.
Wasn't there a really, really big controversy where she had said, don't quote me on this because I can't remember the exact quote, but what I will tell you is this much. She said something about like how because of her religion or whatever, that she wanted death to America or something like that. It was something similar to what. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, to me, you if you're watching right wing media, you're going to hear stuff like that. I mean, you should have clear cut. For you to say something like you said about her, you should have clear quotes. I mean, the death to America. I don't believe that the Congresswoman said that while being a Congresswoman.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to say, how about this, okay? Next time I come on your show, I will find it, and I'll show the exact quote that she said.
But then I have to ask you then, how do you feel about Trump posting a picture of the current president of the United States hogtied in the back of a pickup truck? Does that mean he hates America when he does that?
Repeat that again, I'm sorry.
Trump going on social media and posting a picture of the current president, which was Joe Biden at the time, hogtied in the back of a pickup truck. President Trump doing that. Does that mean he hates America? Why would you post a picture of the president hogtied in the back of a pickup truck? Or in the trunk of a car, rather?
That's not something he should have did. I don't agree with that at all. Again, I didn't vote for Trump because of a lot of his actions. I voted for Trump because of what he could do for me. Right? Yeah. That's exactly why I voted for him. Okay. What he can do for my future generation of children.
And so, just to be clear, you do agree with his immigration, his policies on securing the border. You agree with that? You mentioned the TPS.
100%. Because the reason why I am for it is because I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
You don't trust
because
what?
How do you know who we're letting in? I'm sorry, but through the Biden administration, not a lot of people were being vetted. There weren't. And my thing is, okay, if you're vetted, if I were president of the United States, this is what I would say to him, okay? If you could come into this country, right? Mm-hmm. Prove that you are safe, have no criminal history, can contribute to this country, then okay, let's speed up the process, but let's get you here legally.
Okay, let's be clear. Your own ancestry is from Cuba. If you came from Cuba, do you think the Castro brothers would give people a criminal history on you? Because you said, I need you to prove that you're safe so that we can let you in. You think a country like where your family came from would even provide criminal history on the people that's fleeing there? Could you even get that?
Back then, no.
Could you even get it now?
I believe you can.
You believe that if somebody migrated to the United States from Cuba, the United States government could pick up the phone and call Cuba and says, give me this person's criminal history, and they would do it?
I believe that when there's a will, there's a way. I believe.
What does that mean?
if the president wanted bad enough, they could get it.
So you believe the president is going to personally make all these phone calls? What about Haiti? Haiti did not even have a government in place, just like Venezuela didn't for a while. So if you came over from Venezuela or you came over from Haiti, there was no government in existence. How do you get somebody's criminal rap sheet from a country that has no active government? Somalia's another country. No government in place. How do you get their criminal history to know they're safe if there's no government in place?
So if there is no government in place, so see, that's where I know this is where you got me, and I have no issues admitting that 100%. I don't know.
Okay. Well, Trump is so. How do you feel? Because I mentioned the TPS status with the Cubans, but that's not the only country he's done it to. He's done it to Nicaragua, the folks from Honduras. We're going to talk about also Haiti. Haiti is in a position now where they don't have a stable government. They're still dealing with basically what amounts to a civil conflict going on over there. We have a level 4 do not travel to Haiti. Trump, the folks were given TPS status in this country because of how bad their country is. Trump not only wants to get rid of their TPS status, he wants to shorten it so that they have to go home immediately. Do you agree that we should send the Haitians back to that environment?
See, again, this is where I want the protection of my country 100%. That is why I'm the way I am about it.
What part of the country are you in?
I'm originally from Florida. But I actually, through scholarship, I'm in school right now. Okay. University. In Utah.
You're in Utah. Do you feel like the streets of Utah or even Florida, do you feel safer walking down the streets of Florida or Utah now that he's deporting all these folks? You feel like it's a safer America now?
I will tell you this much, right? Utah has always been a very friendly state. Doesn't matter where you're from. Out here we have Ecuadorians, Cubans, Brazilians. We have almost every race out here. Mexicans. It's very diverse.
But you do have ICE out there. You have ICE out there deporting people too, right?
No, but I've worked with a lot of Venezuelans.
That ain't what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, is ICE not in Utah also deporting people who were here undocumented or illegally?
I have not seen them. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I don't know.
But they are in Florida, where you're from.
Correct. And I'm from Miami.
Do you feel the streets of Miami are safer now that Trump is doing this?
Yes, I do.
You feel like the crime rate in Florida is dropping, in Miami is dropping?
Through the work of the governor, through immigration, through a lot of things. Through immigration, through, rounding up gang members, etc., holding them accountable, 100%.
All right, fair enough.
It's not just immigration. It's a lot of things.
Well, but we're focusing on immigration. That's what our conversation is about. Do you feel that getting rid of these folks that are here illegally or even undocumented, because we're getting rid of grandmas and shit like that too, it's not just people who came here yesterday. Some cases it's people who came here, during the last generation. Do you feel like you're saying that getting rid of these people is making the country safer?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll have to end up seeing what the crime rate is in various areas. I'm not aware. I mean, I'm from Chicago, and I don't feel like the streets of Chicago is any safer, even though there's ICE raids going on everywhere. I mean, violence in Chicago is violence in Chicago. I don't believe personally, where you and I differ, I don't believe most of the violence in Chicago is being perpetrated by these people. I don't believe most of the violence in any community in America is primarily being perpetrated by these people. But you have a difference of opinion.
Let me ask you this question, Tim, and then I'm going to give someone else the floor because I want to be generous. But one thing I want to ask you is this, right? Let's look at the job that Gavin Newsom has done, right? Let's look at the job that the governor of New York has done, right? If you look at, so let me ask this question, then I'll make this point. But do you really think that when these governors had protection in place for these immigrants, do you really think that those places were safer?
I don't believe the crime in California is primarily being perpetrated by folks that are here illegally. And they got a lot of illegal immigrants in California. I believe for the most part, people that are committing crimes in this country were likely born here. That's most of the criminals think about folks who get caught and get incarcerated, even in red states. How many red states are not known to be friendly to illegal immigrants? How many red states have prisons that are loaded with illegals? I mean, they're not the ones that's committing most of the crime. Otherwise, they would be incarcerated. You can't hardly name any red state where the primary inhabitants are illegal immigrants.
So I'm going to tell you this much, Tim. Republican states have, for the majority of them, not all of them, but a majority of them, they have low crime rates.
What?
They do.
Red states?
Yes.
You do realize that's flat out false. St. Louis was the murder capital for years. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, murder capitals. Memphis, Tennessee, murder capital.
But who's their governor? Democrats.
No, the governor, there is no governor of Memphis. The governor is of Tennessee.
I'm talking about Louisiana, so that is part of the state, so their governor.
The governor of Louisiana is a Democrat? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Look
it up.
Okay. I'm not aware that the current governor. If it is, I'll concede the point. But what I'm saying is, Louisiana is a red state. Louisiana is not considered a blue state by any means.
But
who is the governor of Louisiana, by the way? You say that governor is a Democrat?
If it's still the same person, then yes, there's a Democrat in place in Louisiana.
Landry? No, the current governor of Louisiana is Jeff Landry. He is a Republican and assumed office on January 8, 2020.
Okay, so then it was the one before him.
Okay, well, the state didn't get less violent since he's been in office. He's been in office over a year. The violence in Louisiana still exists. So your point is kind of flat on that. But that's and that's just Louisiana. I'm going to tell you, there's plenty of violence in Tennessee, which is a red state. There's plenty of violence in Georgia. There's plenty of violence in Mississippi. All of those Bible Belt states down there that are red, they're violent as hell.
Not as much, my dude. And where I live out here in Utah, which is a red state. If you look at Montana, if you look at South Dakota, if you look at all these red states, right? You do
realize you gotta have people to commit a crime, right? You're naming flat open land. I mean, I guess two rocks have never committed a drive-by against each other. You gotta have people.
Okay, but Utah is actually, it's not the biggest state, but it has the largest population. Utah has a 5.4 crime rate. 5.4% crime rate.
I'll trade you Utah for Vermont, which is a Democratic state. Ain't nobody getting shot in Vermont. How about that?
Okay. Colorado
is blue.
Right next to Utah, Democratic state.
Yeah, it's got more people.
It's actually pretty darn dangerous out there.
And I believe Colorado ain't known for being dangerous, really? Colorado, you came from Miami and you came from Miami. How long have you been gone from Miami? You used to live in Miami and you're talking about Colorado is dangerous? You done lost your roots.
It's not. So listen, it's not as dangerous as Miami, which is why I left.
Same universe.
Right?
Go ahead.
So, no, all I can tell you is that there's a lot of people. I don't know the exact numbers.
How long you been in Utah?
I've been out here for about 8-9 years.
Yeah, you've been gone from Miami too long because your crime meter is way off. Colorado at all. You don't even hear the right talking about Colorado. Colorado ain't known as a bad state. Out of all of the states in America where crime is being committed, other than when the Venezuelans took over an apartment complex and they wanted to use that for a talking point, you don't even hear them talking to Colorado? Really? That's what you're coming up with? Colorado?
Just look up the statistics. If you look on Google and you type in, right?
Oh my God.
Statistics, and if you go state by state, right, you're going to find that there are more Democratic states than Republican states that are more dangerous.
Well, let me respond to that by saying this. There's going to be more crime in Democratic states than Republican states because that's where the people are. The majority of the population, when you look at the population of Illinois, New York, and just California alone, that's a large portion of America. All of them New England states over there, all of them, I mean, when you look at the Republican states, all of the shit that's in the middle, like you were naming Kansas and Nebraska and the Dakotas and Montana, ain't no fucking body there. It ain't enough people that'll get busy. So of course it's less crime. It's a whole lot less money and opportunity there too, I'll tell you that. But there ain't nobody in those states. So of course you're gonna compare a town like Chicago with 8 million to Salt Lake City or some of these other areas. Of course there's gonna be more crime in Chicago.
No, one thing I will tell you though, Ted, right? And this is gonna be the last comment, then I'm gonna let the next caller come up, but I actually feel a lot safer out here.
You should. You are a lot safer in Utah.
In Utah than I do in New York or California.
Of course. Look, you're in an area where there's less diversity. You're in an area where there's less in terms of folks who have difference of opinions, whereas in Miami, you're going to have Hispanics, you probably got Muslims, you got folks of all. You go out in Salt Lake City, everybody thinks like they're all white and Christian. We got fucking Mormons out there or something?
It's very mixed out here, my dude.
Compared to Miami?
Not compared. It's on the fence.
It ain't even, there is nowhere near the diversity in Salt Lake compared to Miami. It's not even close. And I'm not even in Salt Lake, and I can tell you that.
Okay, there's Tongans, there's Samoans, there's Cuban, there's Mexican, there's Ecuadorians, there's Venezuelans, there's Puerto Ricans.
And you're trying to compare that to a major port like Miami. You're trying to tell me Miami and Salt Lake City have somewhere near the same amount of diversity?
I wouldn't say the same amount, but it's pretty darn close.
I'm not even talking about, not only do they have a completely different set of diversity, the socioeconomics of where you are on a scale in terms of the difference between poverty and wealth is much greater in Miami too. You got rich people living next to poor people. It's much different. Everybody is a lot closer to the same environment in Salt Lake City compared to Miami. It's not even in the same universe. There's a lot more reason to argue and get into spats and conflict in Miami than there is in Salt Lake City. I don't know why you could even possibly compare the two.
My point is this, right? The reason why I feel like it is safer out here is because
it is.
One, we don't have that much of an immigration problem, not because of the population, but because of the attitude of this place, right? If you don't obey the law, you're more likely to get if you do not obey the law, there's a lot of people with more pew-pews out here than anywhere else in the country.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, I'll go ahead and move it on. But in Utah, you're probably safer than most of the Republican states in the Bible Belt, too. All of them states I just mentioned, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Georgia. You're safer in Utah than any of them fucking places, too. So understand that. I got to move it on. Appreciate you coming through.
All right, my God. Have a good night.
Anytime. Somebody said per 100 or something like that. When I was comparing Chicago to Utah, and they're like, well, there's more people in Chicago, but per 100, it's more safer in Utah. Still goes back to what I said. In Chicago, people are living all on top of each other. Your neighbor's right. There's just so many more reasons to get into a spat or an argument in a city like Chicago compared to Salt Lake City. Traffic is going to be much greater. The parties and clubs are more packed. I mean, just every area of life where you might get into an argument is going to be significantly stronger in a town like Chicago compared to Salt Lake City. So there's a lot more reason for shit to happen. And that's just big city life, by the way, because Houston, Texas is in a red state, and it has its share of crime as well. It has plenty of crime in Houston, Texas. So does Atlanta, which happens to be in another red state. Anytime you put a bunch of people together from all different backgrounds, and they all think differently, whether it's their religion, whether it's their customs and culture, you're gonna have drama. You're gonna have drama. Most of the crime in this country is in areas like that, where people all have differences of opinion and all of that shit. That's where most of the major crime centers are. Is that type of stuff. Other than that, rampant poverty is another one. It's either it's going to be in an area that has a lot of different shit, a lot of different stuff going on, or where everybody's dirt poor. Because without no money ain't a damn thing funny, to quote who said that? That's a 90s rap or 80s rap. Pretty ass principal says, Tim, get this cigarette off the phone. He's definitely spared. It is what it is. Tell to come visit Alabama, super red state. Yeah, like I said, you notice you hear the right always talking about crime in liberal cities. They don't talk about poverty at all, because the poverty is in their areas. You don't hear them talking about, people in terms of opportunity and poverty. We can say whatever the hell you want about California, but there's a lot less, even with the homeless crowd that's in California, there's still more wealth in California than most of those Bible Belt states, those red states. Certainly in Illinois and New York as well. There's more wealth in those areas. Now, Keith Wilkowitz, I think it says more excuses for black people. This conversation didn't have shit to do with black people. Nobody said anything about black people. I guess we're talking about crime, we're talking about liberal cities, and his mind went straight to African Americans. Oh, that ain't racist at all. All right, black people. Nobody, we talked for 15, 20, nobody said anything about black people. He said more excuses for black people. No, more excuses for folks who don't like black people, sound like. Many homeless choose to be homeless, says Mercer Hayes. I'd say yes and no. Probably closer to yes. I mean, to me, I still believe, despite the way things are going in this country, I do still find it hard to fall so flat on your face you're on the street. I'd rather go to a church, even though I'm not very religious, and beg for something. Do somebody have a corner in their garage they ain't using? Shit, I'll lay down some fucking insulation and sleep in your garage as opposed to being on the street. I'll go out and work at a day labor place for a few weeks just to buy the raggliest car on the lot and find somewhere I can park it and live in that to prevent from being on the street. I tend to think there has to be something else wrong with you other than just poverty to end up on the street. That's just my opinion. Obviously, if you're living in a place like California where you can't afford, then you probably need to, the first thing I would do if I'm in California and I'm hurting is I would use whatever money I can get my hands on to buy a cheap-ass Greyhound ticket out of California, because you're never going to be able to afford a place to stay there. I mean, I would try to find a cheaper place to live. California, I'm trying to think, heading east, shit, it's not cheap in Nevada, Arizona, probably New Mexico. If you can get all the way over to Dallas or Houston, you can start finding some cheap shit there. Get yourself a bus ticket and head over there. And then you can probably get away with a little bit more shit. Like I said, start out with a piece of shit car and live in it, or a piece of shit cargo van or something. Live in that first. That's just my opinion. Ron says for some people it's a lifestyle choice. Yeah, living on the street is dangerous though. Everything you got, they get robbed all the time. The girls get sexual assaulted. That is a dangerous way to live. It's just, no, I can't be on the street. Who is 13% of the population that commits 50% of all violent crime? That sounds like a I love black people comment. 13% of the population commit 50% of all the crime. There's so much more to that than that. First of all, if you're impoverished, it doesn't matter what skin color you are, but if you're impoverished and you go before a judge after committing a crime, the chances are far more likely that you're going to end up in jail than somebody who's wealthy. You think any African American of average finances, average wealth, would still be free if they went through what Trump went through? 30 some odd charges, 90 some odd charges originally. You think anybody, if they didn't have Trump's money, would have survived that shit? So before talking about who's in prison for committing all of the crimes, start out by looking at the socioeconomic scale they're on, because wealth has a lot to do with whether you fall behind bars or not. Doesn't matter what skin color you are. If you're charged with a crime and you're poor, and they end up giving you what they refer to as a public pretender, not a public defender, a public pretender, you're probably going to be told to plea out and take some time in jail. P. Diddy, O.J. Simpson, all of them. You think they would have escaped if they didn't have no money? So the likelihood of more blacks being in jail has less to do with them committing the crimes and more to do with them not having a ability to wage a decent defense in a court of law. Because I'll tell you this, while we point out that there's more blacks in jail than anybody else, look at all of the folks that get exonerated. The ones that you hear about don't serve 10, 20, 30 years for a crime they didn't commit. They're almost always black. They're almost always black. The ones who get out of prison and I served 30 years, I didn't do this, and they finally, DNA evidence finally proved it. The ones that get railroaded by the, they're mostly all black. So if the ones that are getting out is mostly all black, you got to assume that there's some who are serving their time that are that way as well. So when you say that most of them in jail because they're black, because they're the ones that are easiest to railroad. They don't have any money. They don't have any ability to fight back. Good example, this guy that's in the news right now, this McNeil guy, the guy who got pulled over, didn't comply with the police. Police knocked out his window, punched him in the face, took him out the car and punched him in the face another time. You think if the cops did that to a non-compliant son of a senator, they would have got away with that? You think it would have still been deemed as legit? You can get away with a lot of shit when you're dealing with poor people. And blacks represent, due to historical context, most of the poor people. They have a much higher per capita percentage of them being poor because the way the nation was created, it held them back from acquiring wealth. So you can get away with more shit on black people. So yeah, you're going to have more of them in prison. I'm not excusing the ones that commit crimes. What I'm saying is if they do commit a crime, it's a lot easier to lock them up than other folks. There's a lot of folks who done some pretty bad shit and they're walking free, and a lot of folks who committed little mild crimes and they're spending plenty of time behind bars simply because they couldn't hire a lawyer. All the black on black crime is white hate. Don't know what that means. Hunter ain't black. I don't know what Hunter Biden got to do with this. Victim card holders, explain to me, if the U.S. is so racist, why was Obama elected? Why are so many black mayors, senators, and Congress? Please, I'll wait. What are you saying that if you give, I mean, when you look at the places that these folks are getting elected, probably with the exception of Obama, most of the places that all these black people you're pointing out that get these jobs, the places are mostly black that voted them in. You don't see many rural all-white towns voting in black politicians, with the exception of maybe Obama, who actually won due to a whole lot of white votes. Most of the places that these black politicians you're pointing out win office, the places are overwhelmingly black. That's why they're getting the job. That's why they're not getting the job because a bunch of white people are voting for. Most of these people are getting the job because the town they're in, the constituency they're over is mostly black people anyway. So I mean, if America's not racist, okay. Let me see Savannah, Georgia or something like that. You know, let me start seeing shit like that. Then you and I would have more of an agreement. When I see a town that's 80, 90% white electing a black mayor, then you would be right. You'd have more of a point to make. But if a town is 60, 70% black and they elect a black guy for the leader, well, that shows America's not racist. No, it doesn't. It shows the people that are black wanted a black leader. In fact, that might be closer to suggesting that racism continues because the towns tend to elect people that look like them. That ain't saying that racism ended. That's saying that it looks like it's kind of still continuing. If the town is mostly black, the leaders are black. If the town is mostly white, the leaders are white. That doesn't say that racism ended. That makes it look like it's continuing. Let's talk about why Biden and Harris never released the Epstein files. I think that's the dumbest point to make this late in the game. And I'll tell you for two reasons. First reason being the Trump administration ran on Biden is hiding elites. He's working with the deep state and he's letting them get away with the likelihood of abusing children. Vote me in and I'll make sure we know who these bad people are. I'll give you transparency. So we vote Trump in and then he don't release shit and say, let's go back to talking about Biden again. That makes no sense at all. We knew Biden wasn't releasing the list if you listen to Bongino and Megyn Kelly and all of them during his administration. We knew that. So that's why Trump got in there. So Trump gets in there and fails to produce and not a conversation that let's go back to Biden? Why? That doesn't make any sense. The other thing I want to bring up is the fact that Jeffrey Epstein passed away on August 10th, 2019. Trump was president until January of 2021. So that means Jeffrey Epstein died a year and a half almost before Trump left office on his first term. Damn, why didn't Biden release the list? Why didn't Trump release the list at the end of his first term? He had a year and a half to, at the very least, tell us whether a list exists or not. For him to be telling us in the summer of 2025, no list exists is insane. You were president of the United States when your former buddy was incarcerated and died while in custody. And you remained in the White House for a year and a half almost after that happened. And you're going to tell me you don't even know if a list exists after that? So when folks bring up Biden, understand there's a huge period of time before Biden got in office that Trump should have known some shit. Because we clearly knew what Epstein was involved in. He had already been incarcerated, had already lost his life a year and a half before Trump left his first term. He should be able to tell you quite a bit from that period before Biden even got in office. Why didn't he release the list? Or should we not talk about that? I see somebody says that motherfucker's guilty, says freedom fighter. How in the world do you think you're going to get these people in trouble when the victims themselves can't even speak to it? I say put Ghislaine Maxwell before Congress. Put her before Congress. In my opinion, look, this may not be popular. Maybe some of you folks agree with it. I don't know. But Ghislaine Maxwell got a 20-year sentence. I believe she's older than me. I'm in my early 50s. She's going to be in jail for probably until damn near to the rest of her life. I would say make a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell, but, emphasis on but, none of this bullshit where she only talks to Trump lawyer behind closed doors and then we got to believe what his fucking lawyer says. Put her before Congress under oath, under threat of perjury, cut 10 years off of her sentence. I get what she's serving time for in the heinous nature of her crimes. But she's likely about to turn coat on a lot of bad people. So you're going to get a lot more people that deserve to be punished that are walking free right now that may be offending other underage people as we speak. Because none of them have been held to account. Cut 10 years off of that 20-year sentence Ghislaine Maxwell has and have her testify under oath before Congress. You can put that shit on C-SPAN because you don't have to show any pictures that feature any porn or any of that stuff. It's questions. That's all it is. You're going to see Congress grilling her with questions. Democrats and Republicans. Both of them. She gets 10 years off her sentence. If she's caught lying, she gets the full sentence plus an additional 5 years for perjury. That means she's in jail till she fucking dies. She has every right at that point to tell the truth. And now you got liberals also being able to ask her questions without the Trump administration being able to hide how the interview took place. I think most of America would probably be more willing to agree with that than what Trump is skirting around and doing now. That's what I would suggest. Let her come before, and knowing that she is held accountable for perjury, don't leave any names out. I mean, we're going to ask you questions. If we find out you lied or deliberately omitted information about any of this shit, you get your full sentence of 20 years plus an additional 5 years for perjury. Or you can walk in 10 or whatever deal you want to give her that features some light at the end of the tunnel, which she does not have at this point. And you'll go into witness protection or whatever to save your life after this is over with. I think she'd play ball, and I think a large portion of America would agree with that, with the exception of Trump. I don't think he would agree with that at all. Anyway, looking in the comments, though, it's the something that's, I don't know what that says. Why didn't the Biden, you guys keep saying this, Biden, why didn't the Biden administration want to hear what Jose Biden is gone. You've already referred to Biden as the dumbest, most ineffective president in history. So why keep asking questions about him? Biden has no power at this point. Continuing to bring up Biden when Trump is in, okay, if Biden fucked up, this is Trump's chance to make it right. He's not doing that. So because he ain't making it right, let's keep talking about Biden again, huh? Biden is irrelevant at this point on this matter. You've already said the guy got dementia. He can't string together a sentence. He don't know where he's at. He used auto pen. Why don't you use some of your own damn excuses for why he didn't produce anything? You're going to tell me the guy don't know where he's at and he's going to be dead soon, but then you expect, well, why didn't he do all this great stuff I wanted him to do? Why not just fill in the blank with some of the shit you use? Trump is in office now. Why ain't he doing it? I don't know why people keep bringing up Biden. 5 people are already deceased under Epstein. Yeah. That's why I said you're going to give Jose Maxwell witness protection. We're going to give her witness protection. In regards to the lie detector tests, those are known to be able to, those are not totally effective. They're not even, I don't think they even can be used in a court of law. Lie detector tests are not perfect. There are ways to calm down and fool those things. So lie detector tests are not going to come into it. Giving her 10 years with her knowing that if she's caught lying, she's going to die in jail, to me is an incentive for her to come clean. If she's going to be in witness protection, she don't have a reason to lie at that point. My guess is she probably has a little angst among her anyway, because why the hell am I doing all this time when all these other motherfuckers got free? So I think she'd probably be willing to spill the beans on a lot of people anyway. I mean, because ain't nobody looking out for her in jail. Ain't nobody going to talk to her. Ain't nobody putting money on her books that she used to deal with. They don't want to be known around her. So my guess is she would probably be happy to spill the beans. Out of all of us that did this, why the hell am I doing 20? Why you still out dealing with hedge funds and making millions? Why am I doing 20? All of you guys distance yourself from me and Epstein when we went down, knowing damn well you were involved in this. So my guess is she would probably be fairly cooperative just on that alone. They're not admissible in court. That's why the lie detector test is not going to work in court. How many super rich people do you think have called Trump and demanded Trump put an end to this Epstein case? Probably not many. Unless you want to say Tucker Carlson, them types, and probably not many. Because it's not popular to try to tell Trump to do anything. I mean, Trump can destroy most of them people. Probably not many. Melania's name came up in the Epstein scandal as well. I heard this, and I think it might have been on CNN or one of the networks that you guys don't trust. But I did hear that, and I'm going to put emphasis on heard this. I don't know if it's true. But I heard that Melania Trump was in the car with with Maxwell on some of those accounts where they were picking up girls. I don't know if it's valid or not, but I have heard that Melania Trump was with Ghislaine Maxwell when she was grabbing some of these chicks, possibly in the grooming process, taking them to clients, bringing them to people's houses and stuff like that. I don't have any clue at all if it's true or not. Which is why I prefaced it by saying I heard it. But there's a lot of footage of Melania Trump with Ghislaine Maxwell. They hung out together. There's plenty of footage of them together. They hung. The idea that Trump and Melania hung around these folks and had no clue what they were doing whatsoever. I'm just going to say that's a viewpoint that would not be afforded by MAGA to anybody else. If Obama or Biden or some liberal was doing the same thing as Trump was doing and saying that they were innocent of what this man was doing, MAGA wouldn't buy that. MAGA would not buy that at all. If Bill Clinton had all these videos of him hanging around and partying with Epstein, there are literal photos of Trump in the photos with Epstein, and young girls are present at the events they're at. MAGA would not buy that stuff. If it was a liberal doing all that stuff, MAGA wouldn't buy it. So I don't know if Trump is innocent or not, but his actions don't look like an innocent guy. Trump himself is quoted as saying, if you plead the fifth, you know, it means you got something to hide. It means you work for the mob and all of this shit. And Epstein was asked, have Trump ever slept with an underage girl? And Epstein plead the fifth. Why would you do that? Why would you, out of everything involved, why would you plead the fifth on something like that? Why would Epstein plead the fifth on asking him if Trump slept with underage girls? I don't know. But like I just stated, MAGA would not afford the amount of benefit of the doubt they're giving Trump if it was anybody else in Trump's shoes under those same circumstances. Pictures, hanging out at parties and events, had all of the quotes that Trump has, about telling the 10-year-old, I'll be dating you when you get older or something like, in 10 years, I'll be dating you, or the stuff he said about his daughter. MAGA would not afford anybody else the amount of benefit of the doubt they're giving Trump. I mean, he said a lot of stuff that is like, why would you say that? You're looking at a 1-year-old talking about, you don't know if she's going to have the titties of your, I don't know. Looking in the comments here, I can't see any pedo going on a plane to Pedo Island and letting others know about it. Well, Mercer Hayes, I'll just say this. In regards to this whole notion of the flight list and the island, when you look at the wealth Jeffrey Epstein possessed, when you look at the amount of properties this guy had, obviously he didn't just have properties on the island. When you look at, he had properties on the mainland, properties in Manhattan, probably properties on the West Coast. When you look at his financial capabilities, do you really believe that guy only got horny on the island? Do you think that every time that man wanted to fuck, he had to go to the airport or go to a port and sail to that island? You think that's the only place he had sex? When he got access to Ghislaine Maxwell, basically a pimp that'll serve him anytime. Now, she stated, this is her words, Epstein needed 3 orgasms a day. That's what Maxwell stated. And she facilitated that. So he fucking a lot. You really believe that if he's laying in a Manhattan penthouse somewhere and he's horny, he got to get up and get dressed and go to the airport and fly to the island before he can fuck? You really believe that only people on the flight list are involved with this stuff? You don't think he did anything wrong out of the lower 48 states? Nothing? You believe that? Got that insanely wealthy? Call girl people can be found. Hell, even R. Kelly didn't lead a country to do what he needed to do. But Epstein did? Yeah, I don't buy that. That guy was fucking people on our soil. He was fucking people. And on the island. But there are plenty of people that were not on that flight log that enjoyed Epstein's services in the women he could provide. Here, they did that in the United States. I'm certain of that. So no way that guy got all that money and he's got to lead a country to do something. That's insane. How many what is a MAGA-philia? I don't know what that means. I don't think that everyone on the list is a pedo. I don't know, but I do know. I don't know who's on the list. I don't know if everybody's on the list, et cetera. No, probably not. I mean, obviously he has an island. He's flying gardeners. He's flying, architects and shit to build properties on his island. I mean, yeah, he's flying people to the island that's not involved in this stuff. So everybody's on his flight list. probably was not involved in it. But I'm sure that people were involved in pedophilia with Epstein that were here in the United States. They didn't all go to that island and do that. That's not the only place he did that stuff. I'm certain of it. I'm certain that man was doing stuff here. You can't go to Hollywood and dial up somebody. You got Giselle Maxwell. You can't have her fly you a girl out to Hollywood or find you one in Hollywood. You got to go all the way to this island to do that? No. That don't make sense to me. Trump doesn't want to be JFK. Ooh, I don't think that's going to happen. Epstein pled the fifth because they were guilty of messing with underage girls. Two sick bastards. Like I said, I don't think MAGA would see it any other way if it was somebody that wasn't Trump. I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle, Joe Biden. I don't know how you guys keep. I've said it before that the racial conversation would make a lot more sense if it was, Bush, Mitt Romney, or George H.W. Bush. But if the opposition is Trump, the racial conversation is somewhere you shouldn't even go. I mean, you're going to bring up racial jungle or the crime bill or vote for me or you ain't black. This guy's demanding teams rename themselves to the Indians and Redskins and renaming bases back at the Confederates and shit. Kicking out black folks and letting in white South Africans. I mean, there's so much stuff there that it's stick to the economy or something like that. I mean, there's too many counterpoints. I mean, if you're going to say that Biden's a racist, but you don't see nothing racist about Trump, pick a different topic. That's a bad topic to go down. I mean, there's plenty of stuff in regards to Trump that's at least suspicious. I've played the video all the time on this program of how he tweeted out that black people are responsible for 88% of white homicides, indicating that if you're a white victim of homicide, it's an 88% chance a black person did it, when in reality it's 15%. No apology, no. It just, that ain't the area to defend Trump on. It just is not. Like I said, if you're gonna bring up racism, compare Biden to somebody else, you might have a better argument. But comparing him to Trump you got to excuse a whole lot from Trump to make Biden look worse than Trump on the racial argument. His whole administration is white. I mean, somebody was just saying, well, how can America be racist if we elected a black president? You realize how many black people Biden appointed? Judges and members of his cabinet and shit like that? What, the argument don't hold any weight when we're talking about Biden all of a sudden? You're going to use the election of Obama to suggest, well, if we elected a black president, that means America can't be racist. But you're going to look at Biden, who appointed black people all over the fucking place, and say he is racist. Then it kind of throws out your Obama argument. That guy appointed black people every fucking where. Supreme Court tried to make the first black female president in Kamala Harris. I mean, they're everywhere under Biden. So maybe he was racist when he talked about the racial jungle and all that shit. But he clearly changed his tune once he became president. He even tried to pass the George Floyd bill that the Republican Party shot down. Juneteenth that the Republican Party doesn't like. That guy? Are we supposed to say Trump is less racist than that dude? That don't make sense to me. I mean, like I said, unless you just want to ignore everything Trump is doing. Trump on Juneteenth, the one that just passed a few weeks ago, on Juneteenth, Trump took to social media, did not acknowledge Juneteenth at all. He stated there are too many holidays in this country and people want to go back to work and something's going to change. He, on the day of Juneteenth, he took to social media, didn't acknowledge the holiday, and indicated he wanted to get rid of it. That guy, compared to Biden, nah, that's a tall order to make. And I'm able to see both sides of an issue, but you got to ignore a whole lot from Trump to make Biden look more racist than Trump. The apartments, the Central Park 5, all of that stuff. I ain't even bringing that stuff up from his past. You know, removing black dealers at the casinos and shit, like all of that old stuff. Now, I get the crime bill's 30-something years as well. I'm letting you bring up old stuff. The stuff on Trump is recent. Stuff is recent. And we can talk about allocating money to HBCUs and some of the shit that folks would suggest that makes Trump not racist. His second term, this current administration, there's nothing there. Nothing to point to where he's done this or that for African Americans. There's nothing there at all. You're comparing him to Biden? In fact, when we're talking about the things about Trump that indicate he is not racist, most of that shit's pretty fucking old. You know, he gave money to Jesse Jackson. When the fuck did that happen? You know, he used to hang around Mike Tyson. I mean, that stuff is old. I mean, that stuff, you got to go back 20, 30 years to find stuff. I don't see it. Like I said, you got to really, really stretch to make Biden the racist and Trump the one that loves black people. Just look at their administrations and try to explain that. Is there anybody on Trump's administration? I guess Tulsi, maybe? What is Tulsi Gabbard? Maybe her? No. But I see Robert says a silly, brainwashed host. Democrats, they still don't know why they got MAGA, so they blaming racism again. Nah, there's a lot of reasons the Democrats lost. Racism, I'm sure, didn't help, but Kamala Harris wasn't a good candidate. Biden refused to step down, giving Kamala only 100 days to run. There's a bunch of shit there. It ain't all just racism. Anyway, folks, I do need to you guys are always fun to talk to. Look, at the end of the day, we don't have to agree on shit. We run an uncensored program. I believe in letting MAGA speak just as much as I believe in letting liberals speak. That's how uncensored programming works. If you enjoy uncensored programming, despite hearing opinions you agree with and don't agree with, follow the program if you're watching on Instagram or TikTok. We are MAGA friendly. We will always be MAGA friendly. Being MAGA friendly means I allow you to speak without being blocked, banned, or censored or trying to dictate how you should think. Doesn't mean I don't criticize you, because I criticize liberals as well. And I take criticism from all of you folks. People are constantly commenting on every damn thing from my fucking shirt to my goddamn eyes. And we don't block, ban, or censor anybody. So if you like uncensored programming, you are in the right place. Give your boy a sub, and I'll see you folks tomorrow. Y'all take care and have a wonderful night. Catch you then.